Hello, everyone, and welcome to SmashBoxxTV's podcast 311.
311, like the band?
I knew it.
Yeah, I have to. I'd be the first one. Other people are going to do it. I only think I know one song of theirs, but
Semi-Charmed Kind of Life?
no, that's Third Eye Blind.
Oh,
Come
same
on.
thing.
No, 311 was kind of like the rappy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
ahead.
mean, they had like, what, 2 or 3 big songs?
I'm sure they did. Yeah.
I think they were at Summerfest not too many years ago.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Down
Okay.
was the big one.
All right. Well, good.
We got that out of the way.
We nailed that one. All right. Are we more or less relevant than 311 right now? On the Jack
less.
A scale, when we had Jack A, as we were talking about her on episode 227,
yeah,
I don't know.
I'm not sure. Jack.
Either way, glad you guys
know.
are here for us tonight. We should have a pretty great show lined up for you. Of course, coming in hot right after the Ledgestone Insurance Open, a very exciting weekend of some really good disc golf. 4 long days of disc golf.
Yeah, that's putting it mildly.
A full disc golf pro tour adventure that we had tonight. Joining us in just a few moments, we're going to have our FPO champion in Katrina Allen. And if he's all good to go, I think we might also later then have Ricky Wysocki joining us.
Back-to-back champs?
Yeah. I talked to Ricky a day or so ago. He said he was all gung-ho, and then we didn't touch base until then. I guess I just left it as the assumption. So I know Rick loves being here, so hopefully we're going to hear from him whenever we wrap up with Katrina. He's got to play second fiddle to Kat, though. So, of course, we're going to recap Ledgestone Insurance Open. And then maybe lightly discuss how we got this little bit of a break. We're not going right to MVP in the next couple of weeks like we originally planned on. We're going to then
the
instead
new rules and restrictions that some of our players are going to have to look at, and maybe some of our media team.
Yeah, so we're going to be heading instead over to the Green Mountain Championships in a couple of weeks, and then MVP. But we'll get to all of that stuff later as we look at what's coming up in the next few weeks. So there's no reason to put this off any longer. We are going to welcome in from our Disc Baron Digital Green Room. We're going to have our FPO champion, also our 2014 Professional World Disc Golf champion.
5-time Ledgestone champion.
Yeah, and 5-time Ledgestone champ. She's mad. Everybody else is getting in on the money. Here's Katrina Allen. Hey, Kat, how are you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Thank you
always.
for joining us. Well, yeah, let's start there, and I'll be the first to say, when you win, some of the questions maybe on Tuesday are a little repetitive, maybe from throughout the weekend, but the first question is, what is it about the Ledgestone event that has now crowned you champion 5 times?
Well, like you guys were joking about, it used to be my honeypot, as we used to call it back in the tour before we had the Disc Golf Pro Tour and the National Tour. And I just remember the first time being there, Nate Heinold was just everywhere available. Like, it was incredible. I'm like, I mean, we have a lot of great TDs, but he was just like super enthusiastic and like just always available. And I was just like, dang, this is a great event. And then every year that I would come back, it got a little bigger. And then, like I said, the first year as a Disc Golf Pro Tour, I think 2015?
Or 15.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, I was a little upset that he invited all these people, but it's been awesome to watch it grow. And I just think Nate's trying to take it to a more professional level, and the things he does with like St. Jude and all that stuff. And so I just really love the event, and I love playing at Sunset Hills. I think it is a very professional venue for us.
There was a lot of talk about Sunset Hills this week, that you guys were playing 4 rounds there, that you guys that it's a course that's designed very well for the FPO field. Would you like to play other courses, or are you happy with 4 at Sunset?
I mean, Northwood is incredible, especially from the longs. Oh my gosh. But I mean, I've played a lot, with McNaughton and a few others, and I personally, I like Sunset Hills. Maybe it's not as wooded as the other courses, but we still have lots of trouble with natural OB ponds, islands, and we still have, when you get on the back nine, there's definitely woods and gaps you got to hit. So I think it's great. I'm fine with it.
Yeah, and that brings another question, which is, we frequently see the men and the women now playing at the same course, or maybe there's two courses and you're using them both, maybe a few slightly different tees. Does that put any additional strain? You're traveling with Austin Hannum. Does that put any additional strain on the week because he's got to go practice and play Eureka and Northwood, and your one concern is Sunset, a course that maybe you even already kind of have dialed in? Did that put any strain on you guys in that way?
Well, I normally rent a car, but this year I flew home and got my car because with all the changes with MVP and not being able to play Pittsburgh and stuff, we're actually just going to take my car up there instead of bringing the RV and the truck. So that's always convenient as far as he's able to do his own thing and I'm able to do mine, because the courses are, I think, like an hour apart or 45 minutes.
Yeah.
It's pretty far. I'm sure you guys know, or sure you know the drive, Terry.
Yeah, it's every day.
And so it was actually nice because I flew home Monday, grabbed my car, came back, and so I actually only had 2 days. And yeah, it was nice to only practice one course and a course that we've been playing for a long time with little to no changes.
Yeah, and I think one of the most striking things that I heard from you, maybe it was after one of the rounds, you're like, oh, I'm going to go play golf, or I'm going to go do this or do that. Like, you had your, I don't want to just say independence, but I mean, you were doing your own thing and Austin was kind of doing his thing. And in that way, it probably gave you guys, I don't want to say freedom like it was a bad thing, but it gave you the freedom to go out and do whatever you really wanted to with your afternoons, right?
Right. Well, yeah, and then him not having the stress of having to get me to my round, and then what am I going to do afterwards? And I was able to go to the gym, eat lunch, and play the 9 holes of golf in the back at Sunset.
And putt. We heard that on your birthday. You had a whole.
Oh yeah, and we played putt. That was my birthday. Yeah. I also played putt, and we had ice cream. That was fun.
So when you're at that golf course, you talk about the professionalism, and we've really seen them come into their own at that course. It's undergone a couple of changes, namely, I think of like a hole 15 that's become longer and more difficult. But then we've seen tee pads added out there throughout the years, and them just take it very seriously. Have you had conversations about the golfers and how they perceive disc golf? Do you feel like we're fully integrated there now?
Yeah, no, for sure. When I go into the clubhouse, Tim was like, great shooting today. Like, he already knew what a shot, like they're following along. And I don't know if you guys saw Harlan on hole 15.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, the same gentleman. Did you talk to him 3 out of 4 days or all 4 days?
All 4 days and in our practice round. And I think he's normally out there. The first practice day, me and Kayla were practicing, and he was in Iowa Hawkeyes. And my grandpa was a huge Iowa Hawkeyes fan. So I said something, and we just started talking, asked where we're from. And then, we were just talking each day. And the day I was shooting really well, but took that kick on the branch. The next day he was like, how's it going? I'm like, going pretty good. And he's like, I went inside and I told Carol, God damn it, she hit that only branch in the way and kicked straight out of it.
That's great.
So he was like really into it. And I was like, I know, you got to see my only crappy shot of the day. And no, it was great. It's just awesome. And I know that, and I didn't see as many this year, but in past years I've seen, some of the golfers out there following us around in their golf carts. And I didn't know if maybe that had something to do with COVID and the strict rules and stuff. But yeah, there's definitely, for the most part, I think the golfers are very welcoming and think it's a pretty neat thing.
Yeah, that's a great point you just touched on, because I am also used to that. When you're out there, there's at least a dozen golf carts that are just kind of from a distance following along, watching all the golf that takes place out there. And every time I turned around, the few golf carts were there were usually doing some kind of work, and they weren't necessarily spectators. So let's touch on that briefly. Spectators obviously have been really not allowed, and they were very limited this weekend. How for you? How does that feel for you? Do you care about having spectators on site?
I mean, yeah, I want them to be able to be there. I thought it felt with the combo of the late tee times, no caddies, no spectators, and like the sun's almost going down. It was a bit weird at the first few events. Like, are we just out here like playing league, or it just it didn't have that same feel. And maybe that was something this weekend that was maybe kept me going, or just like seeing people out there smiling and telling you keep it going, or you got this, or just cheers when you did something great, or so yeah, I think what I'm saying is I do like having them out there, and it was nice for sure.
Yeah, it was really nice hearing some cheering. The commentators were talking about that too for FPO and MPO, where someone would throw a good shot and then you'd hear an applause, and it's like, wow, that's a noise we haven't heard in months. So
I know me and Paige Bierkes were trying to like do it a little bit at DDO or whatever. Dynamic Disc Open. And I have like kind of a louder clap, but it just isn't the same as like the oohs and ahs and roars and excitement that they get.
Yeah, and even this weekend, I think of the eruptions and I think of the moans. There's something that just barely leaks out of bounds, or something that hits chains and then falls out that maybe would have stayed or something. And just hearing even the moans, in agony or whatever it might be of any given shot. Those are all things. So speaking of this weekend's, we'll say differences. There was a stark contrast in that instead of playing in the afternoon after the men and into the twilight possibly, you guys were back to what we'll call a more traditional Pro Tour format. Am I right in saying you're more of a morning person, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I only say that because I don't... Go ahead.
The times we tee at 4, I was trying to figure out, okay, well, what am I supposed to do till 4? Because 4 in the afternoon, on a normal day, I have most of my things done. Like that's like where I'm kind of starting to, in fact, I think when it all first started, there was one time where it was like, I like brushed my teeth, washed my face, and changed into my pajamas. And Austin's like, it's 6:30. And I'm like, well, I'm done. Like I've done everything. I've teed off. I've already played my round, gone to the gym. I've ate. I did some shopping. Like there's nothing else for me to do today.
So, well, on those, go ahead.
Yes,
sorry.
I am a morning person, and I do love it.
Well, for these morning rounds, or I'm sorry, for the afternoon rounds, do you go and work out before that morning? I mean, because you're very vocal about like your routine. Almost, it's working out almost every day, and maybe getting some ice cream and just doing your golf and practice and whatnot. When you have it in the afternoon, does that wreck your workout routine, or do you just go late at night?
No, I was for Dynamic Disc Open. I just decided, well, I think as far as I know, all the greats, like Tiger and Michael Jordan, I don't think they were shy either of just like, doesn't matter if there's game the next day or tournament. They were very adamant about staying in their routines to stay healthy and strong. And so I was like, okay, I'm not going to let it, and I think it's so great for, your mental game as well. It's just great. But yeah, DDO, when I would drop Austin off, I would go get a workout in. And then at the premiere, I was working out at like 5:30 in the morning. That way I had, quite a bit of time to rest and eat and do all those things. And then D-Glow, the gyms were closed, but I stayed with my friend Mike and Melissa, and they had a Peloton bike, a Peloton treadmill, and oh my gosh, sorry, my alarm keeps going off. I don't know how to. Let me turn it off quick. I think it's from setting my alarm to not forget you guys.
It's all right.
No worries.
So I'm not really sure what. Oh yeah, there we go. Okay.
All right, then I think you just have to turn your Skype video back on.
Yeah, you might have accidentally turned off the video.
There we go.
Okay, perfect.
So we don't have to hear that every 8 or 10 minutes or whatever. I guess maybe I'm biased because I'm a morning person and I like to be able to get my workout in afterwards and have that 24 hours of, rest. And yeah, but I'm wondering, I've had a lot of people complain to me like, oh, I got to see the last 8 of your holes, or, because after the men are finished, they do all these interviews, and then by the time they get over to us, they've missed almost half the round. And I noticed at a few events, what was it called? The Preserve. I saw the gallery with the men on 18, and we were on, I think, hole 5. And I was like, well, that's a great gallery. Maybe maybe they'll head over, because we had a little gallery going on, and I think maybe 3 people came over. And I think it's that, we're teeing only what is it? 2 hours after the men, 2.5 hours.
Yeah, and that's where the Pro Tour, it was really a decision, because we felt that having you guys go off at 9 a.m., it didn't feel like you guys were getting much of a gallery. So
I think we had more. I mean, I know it's hard to.
Right now is so hard to say.
Right now it's kind of hard.
Yeah.
But I remember for Ledgestone, for instance, last year, I remember having a huge gallery, and I think it gives people opportunity if they want to go out and watch the women at 9 in the morning, then they can say go eat lunch, even maybe go back to their hotel or home or wherever they at, and still go out and watch the men. And they're not watching 6 straight hours of golf or 4 or 5 straight hours of golf. It's kind of broken up. And
yeah, that's a really valid observation, because I think we've talked about this before. The two main reasons why we thought about this for FPO was hoping that the live gallery around the MPO would then just shift over to FPO, and then also that the live viewers on the Disc Golf Network, or at the time YouTube, would shift over. We could roll them right into FPO, which it seems like one has been successful while the other maybe hasn't. And again, this year it's hard to tell, but I can say for sure that this FPO coverage this weekend was the largest FPO coverage we've had, and we've been getting bigger and bigger, but that the numbers compared to last year are way up. Normally an FPO viewer, we would get 1,500 to 2,000, 2,500 if we were lucky in a weekend, where now we're rolling MPO, which are getting 10, 12, 14,000 into FPO, and we're retaining 6, 7, thousand. So it's really, you're right, it's a horse apiece. What are we looking to accomplish? And obviously the long-term goal is to have 2 separate broadcasts with 2 teams, maybe even at the same time or not. I don't know. But those are future things when we can expand staff and money.
Yeah, there's definitely been some advantages and a few disadvantages, drawbacks and additions. And Kat, if you hate it and you really don't like it, there's one person I know that claims all of the responsibility for the idea.
I did. It was I flat out say it was my idea to say, hey, let's try having the women after the men for all these great reasons. But if it's not,
there's a few drawbacks too.
If it's not going to work, it's a great experiment, because we've done so many different things with the women's coverage. We've tried almost everything. So, and we're always trying to make sure to improve it and make it better and get more people. But we're not here to talk about. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, and I guess maybe it's just people who tune in to the FPO, every week, and then they were just frustrated, okay, well, I'm only seeing half the round.
100%, and that's something we've had internal discussions. Val is obviously a huge proponent of the FPO game, and she's been very insistent on making sure we do constant check-ins with the FPO with their scores. Try to get you guys. We always get you guys teeing off. Probably try to follow you through hole 1. Check in hopefully around hole 3 or 4, and then obviously hopefully our guys can get out to you guys by 7 or 8. And so, it's a balancing act, we'll get better with it, and we'll keep going. But like I said, I was about to say, we're not here to talk about media. We're here to talk about you and your play at the Ledgestone and a couple other things you have going on. What we've seen recently, this past weekend, it looked like you had a slightly different putting style from inside of 15 feet, 15, 20. It was more of a spin putt, as opposed to kind of the pitch putt that you've had in the past. And you said that you were working with, was it Natalie? Natalie
Holocaust? Yep.
Holocaust? Is that something you guys have been working on together?
No, with her, I'm working more just mental game. And I think by talking with her, I think I've just always felt comfortable tapping in like that.
Okay.
Just always. And I think sometimes it's so hard. You have so many people telling you things and then unsolicited advice on social media about how you should do things. And I finally was like, who cares? Who cares if I tap in like that from 15? And then anytime I'm outside of what I think is a tap in, I go with my straddle push putt. I just really decided that I just don't care if anyone likes it or not. This is how I feel great and confident. And, like I said, working with Natalie and just being in cat world and cat mode and doing what I do best, then who cares? So
it clearly worked for you because your putting was phenomenal this weekend. Like especially your long distance putts. It felt like anytime you walked up to anything like 25 to 40, I kind of expected it to go in the way you were putting. Yeah. It was fun to watch.
Well, and I think knowing that I'm just going to tap in the way I want to tap in and not overthink it and not get in this uncomfortable zone, that maybe gave me the confidence to just run it. I'm not thinking, oh, don't go too far past. Like, I even remember rolling away to like 25 and just thinking, okay, well, now you just have a 25 footer. It was awesome. I wasn't thinking about the scores or, oh my gosh, I can't believe it rolled away. It was like, okay, well, now this is what you have to do. So.
Yeah, and I know I had said that to you at one point. Maybe it was after round 3. I don't know if it was round 2 or round 3 when we spoke. And I had said the few times you had missed that round from any distance, you were literally just like an inch short. Yeah. And 2 or 3 of those specific times, it then rolled to like 15 or 20, where I just thought, you shouldn't be rolling that far away for being an inch short. And it was the slope of the green or whatever the case was.
A lot of hilly greens
didn't
here.
seem like it was, I'll say, fair almost to where you were rolling to for being 1 inch short. But you made every single one of those comeback putts. Now, to follow all of that up, I'll say, does this course, you love it, you love playing there, the atmosphere, the professionalism, do you feel like it appropriately challenges the women's field? Just generically, do you feel like either the distances or the difficulty, does it appropriately challenge you? I mean, you made it look easy. Is it the right course for the FPO field to be playing?
I mean, I'm always going to want a longer, harder course, always.
Yep.
I would love to play Northwoods from the long and see how it goes. But I would say yes, for the most part. I would love to see maybe a few more 2-shot holes. I think the hole, is it
6?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Yeah, hole 6 is maybe the only hole I'm going driver. And I think if I got greedier off the tee, I could probably throw some, maybe like a mid or a fairway, but I'm making sure to just get
it over.
Get in bounds and give myself an opportunity, because I know it can cause a lot of trouble.
Yeah, well, you went eagle, birdie, or eagle, birdie or something.
No, eagle, birdie, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, not too bad.
Not too bad. So, I do like the addition of the next hole, having another par 4. But I do know if I throw a good tee shot, I'm going to have putter-ish approach shot, and then same on what is it?
Hole 9.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
I'm throwing a putter approach, but like I said, they still have trouble, and you still have to place a great shot. And
I was gonna say, I think the only thing that course is really missing probably is like 1 or 2 really nice turnover shots. It's a lot of straight shots to more hyzer, but you don't see a lot of. There's a few forehand throws that I've seen a couple of the women play, but you don't see a lot of like true turnovers on that course. But
yeah,
that's funny you say that. There's essentially not the closest thing.
Like hole 2 or not 2, 3.
No.
Hole 3 where they turn it over into the sand.
That's one route.
Yeah. Well,
there's 3 different routes there. Because I used to go hyzer, and I don't know if they maybe moved the tee box, or I just thought the Anheuser became easier, or if they, because I used to take the Heiser route, but
yeah, hole 17's approach is the closest thing, depending on where you put yourself. That's truly the closest thing you'd find to an Anheuser out there.
Yeah.
So that's a great observation, Johnny.
And in the past, we've seen you, I think it's on hole 15. Maybe is it 16?
17. 16.
16. We've seen you throw the roller in the past.
Yeah.
This week you did not. You chose an air shot every time, and I only remember that because I think it was like twice you hit that stupid little stump with the roller. And then this week we saw Paige Pierce throw a roller and she hit the stump, which I got the biggest chuckle out of in general because I was like, that's the same thing, Cat.
Like, yeah, when you throw it perfect, you hit the stump. When you throw it exactly how you want it to look, you hit the stump.
Yeah, so I got a kick out of that.
And then it also can go long in those trees, and I just have a disc in my bag that I thought was perfect for that hole, but it's just a really tough shot.
I think it's one of the better holes on that course. I really like that one.
In looking at your year so far, you've had obviously a pretty darn good year. Maybe not quite as many wins as you would like, as someone who's won more than 20 events in a single season a few years ago. How do you feel like your year has been going, though? When I'm looking at everything, your worst finish, you had a 5th at the Memorial and a 6th at Deglow. Everything else is the top, 1, 2, or 3
Podium.
spots. Yeah. How do you feel like your year's been going?
I felt like it was going pretty good, and then COVID happened.
Okay. Yep. Yeah, because pre-COVID, you had 2 wins, in Maricopa and at Vegas, and then Memorial was a weekend really before COVID, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the B tier win. Do those not count? No, I'm just kidding.
No. Yeah.
Just crush on the concho.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
But, no, and I think something I've noticed is I'm really good in the grind. I feel like I get in a rhythm, and I really start to, I don't know, get in that feel where tournament play is almost just like normal. And then I felt like, I had just trained for 2 seasons so hard and felt amazing going into Vegas, and I felt like I was maybe throwing the farthest I've ever thrown. And my game just felt really solid, and I felt really strong. I worked really hard, added some like speed and agility training this off season because I know I'm getting up in age, and I got to stay quick and throwing far. And and then it was just like, when they canceled Waco, I was like, oh my gosh, this is a real thing. Because I will be honest, and I don't really follow the news or listen to a lot of stuff. I can get really sad, and like, it can be be really heavy on me. And so I don't like to follow it. But then I was like, oh, okay, well, we can still go down to Belton and play the Belton Open, which is one of my favorite events. And we had this awesome campsite on the lake, and then they canceled that a couple days into our practice. And so we were like, oh, okay, but I think they were just saying for like a couple of weeks at first. Is that right?
Yeah. There was just uncertainty about how much things would actually have to shut down, or if anything. I mean, we weren't even in full shutdown yet. That you're talking about, like the 3rd weekend in March would have been Belton, and things were still up in the air of like us trying to figure out just how serious any of it was. So you're right, yeah.
So at first we were like, oh, okay, sweet. We'll like have some fires, and you guys know I don't really party that much on tour and stuff. And I was like, oh, maybe I'll have some beers by the fire. Like, this is gonna be fun. And then, like a month later, I was like, this isn't fun anymore. Like, this sucks. And I'm like, do I keep training? Am I going to overtrain? Like, I just had 2 months of training. What do I do? And it was just, a little bit of the uncertainty, and then coming back without fans and stuff, and just that feel of the tour. And so it's been a weird adjustment. So I feel like I've played pretty well with everything that's happened.
I was going to say, I have to ask you a little bit, speaking of feeling good, I have to ask you about the last 9 holes at Ledgestone. We saw some things that we haven't really seen in the past. But first I want to ask you, were you comfortable in those last 9 holes? clearly Paige was making a run. You didn't have some perfect holes, we'll say. I think you bogeyed 2 or 3 holes. Yet, we saw you hanging out with Heather Young. You were showing off your juggling skills. We saw the kind of the tables were a little turned where you seemed to be very free-spirited and relaxed, and Paige was in this really like serious mode. What was your mindset going into those 9 holes? Or throughout the 9 holes?
I touched a little bit on it in my post. And I think if I just think back even to the beginning of disc golf, like that's just truly who I am. And I'm not big on like, how do you explain it? Like I don't want to sound like victim or like point fingers or like, put judgment on any people, but there's been some times where I felt like people are really trying hard to like push me out of the sport or just be horribly unkind to me. And I feel like I allowed those people to steal my joy and kind of believe the narrative they were trying to give me. And these things where when I think back to when I started playing, like I was supportive of everyone. I was really happy for people and their big wins and their accomplishments. And then there was this time where I felt like I was doing the same and I was getting all but that. Like I could tell, like I said, I don't want to tell stories. I don't want to do the same to those people that I feel like they've done to me. But after having one of my talks with Natalie, it was like, I'm literally letting these people steal my joy and it's affecting my game. And like I said in my post, it started exactly 1 year ago during the last round at the Ledgestone where I was being harassed by someone and I just couldn't. It was like I felt like I've taken the high road, I've taken the high road, I've taken the high road, and then this person, and then people are just like pushing the limits. And I was shaking on the course and uncomfortable for 6 holes. And I walk off the course that year, not knowing if I lost because of the harassment or because I just truly didn't have it that weekend. And I felt like in the past, in the beginning of that season, if I lost, I was like, man, I threw great drives, but I didn't get up and down, or my putting wasn't as solid as it's normally been, or I didn't really throw the disc that well. I didn't deserve to win. And I'd go back in the field, or I'd go get on the putting green, or I'd work on my sidearm up shots. And I was always just like really focused on me and what I can do to win and not. And so, yeah, like I said, after a talk with Natalie and just reminding myself of like I feel like when I said, when I came into the game, I just loved everyone. I was super encouraging. And I've always just wanted to win playing like amazing golf. Like I don't want to play like crappy golf and win because there's all this negative energy and all this terribleness. And so yeah, I just feel like I'm just gonna go out and be the true cat, be really who I am, and I'm not going anywhere, and I'm not gonna let those people do that to me anymore. And I'm just gonna go out and encourage the people who are supportive and kind to me, and do whatever I can to encourage the women in my division to like practice harder, add fitness, add health. I'm there for talks before, after the round, whatever, and just do what I think I do best, and that's be goofy and be funny and encourage and lift people up. And
I guess that kind of brings me to my second question about Heather Young, teammate. Do you feel like you're a mentor to her? And because you two seem to, especially during those last 9 holes, it seemed like she was very chatty, and she seems like the type of person that's constantly trying to take in information. And she seems like she's such a sweetheart, even to the point where I think you guys were teaching her how to juggle at one point. Do you see yourself as a mentor to her?
I guess, yeah. I mean, I see her more as a friend. She came out and mini golfed with us, and like I said, I just want to go back to just being this open, like down to earth person who's just like, yeah, But
okay.
yeah, no, I do. I mean, but I think also she's just. I mean, Austin and I were even talking about this. She just kind of holds herself like an athlete out there. And just like, I've seen her like step off of putts and go back
Mhm.
through her routine. There's just like these few things I've noticed, and just the way she moves on the tee box and holds herself. I know that during the first round, I was behind her and she threw a shot in the water. And I just, I try not to say anything to people during the round because I never want to like, um, it's such a mental game. You don't want to like get in someone's head, even if you don't mean to. But I just took a second, was like, hey, head up, shoulders back. Because that's how I normally see her, is this like, she's always very confident and just, like you guys are saying, chatty and taking stuff in. And after the round, she's like, after you said that to me, things just got so much better. And so, yeah, no, it's like I said, it's just nice to, be lifting each other up out there.
Yeah, and what I'll say about that real quickly, in talking to her, I see a lot of those same things. She's wise beyond her years. She's very
For
mature
sure.
out there. She is taking it very serious, and whether we realize it or not, she's clearly always analyzing things. Always, she's clearly a student of the game. And then when I watch her out there, she'll be watching MPO rounds. Like, she's consuming it all, and I feel like she's just this delightful sponge in how she's trying to get obtain all this information, and she's very serious about her actions in wanting to get more distance, and she obviously is this phenomenal putter. So all awesome to see for sure. I guess my final question for you would be, as it feels like you've maybe taken this next step and put aside, we'll say, some internal frustrations, demons, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Have you had any direct conversations with people that you feel like you needed to address, or situations? Has there been anything that you feel like has been, officially put behind you in that sense, that you've addressed people or situations, or is that not part of your process, or what's even needed here?
No, because I feel like it's just like, I don't know how to say it, but it's hard to say because I don't know truly what they think, if they just why they did it or what. And I think, I just turn the other cheek and move on and just kill them with kindness and wish them the best, even if that's not their wish for me. And I don't want to carry it around anymore. And I just, they've never apologized or explained themselves or anything. And that's, I think that's just life. And I think, just reminding myself that's a reflection of them and not me, and just knowing who I am. And like I said, just getting back to the cat who's just confident on the course and doesn't give a crap.
Well, I do want to harp a little bit on the mentorship. You have recently started up, is it a Facebook group for women golfers?
It's an Instagram.
It's an Instagram group. Thank you.
Can I get in? Can I get in?
No, Terry. Last time I checked,
I have deleted so many men. It is ridiculous.
I know, and we talked about it last week. We were talking about your group, and I'm glad we can talk to you about it directly. But last week, right here on the show, I think it was, I was saying, like, so many guys are just like, oh, I want to get in on it. And it's just this whole idea of people, there's something you have and somebody else wants to get in on it, even if it's not meant for you and has nothing to do with you. It's just you're keeping these secrets for you and other women, and guys feel like they want in.
Like, I kind of understand the concept of if you're an male player, some of these FPO players probably could help you out.
Sure, they all could, but
a lot of them could.
It's not for them.
But it's not. I understand. That's where you have to draw. Like, yes.
So tell us about it. Give us the pitch.
Yeah, let's do it.
It was kind of just weird how it all unfolded, but I had seen a couple women make a post about, being harassed, whether it was YouTube comments after one of their rounds, or just the comments on the live feed, or a thread, or you get online and you're tagged in this horrible thing. And I've obviously had it. I think anyone and everyone in the sport has. It's not anything new, to have haters or trolls or whatever. It's just is what it is. And but it was getting to a point where my competitors were saying things like, I don't even want to be on the live coverage, or like, I'm a 17-year-old girl. These comments are absolutely inappropriate. And how can a grown man talk about women like this, and just constant. And, I was going back and forth with a couple of the FPO women. And then I decided I'm just not big on, like, I thought I was going to make this big post like, F all you trolls, F all these men who think they need to tell women how their body should look, or how we should throw, or how we should put. And I was like, what would be even better is if I just made a safe place for women to be able to talk about form, about workouts, about things that we deal with, and then not have any 75 men telling us where and how we should putt, and what we should wear, and what we should look like. And so that was really the reason, is I thought, well, instead of telling them to shut up, we'll just not even allow them to be a part of our little thing. And I was overwhelmed with the response. And so that's kind of where it all stemmed from. And sorry, I was going to say, and I coached volleyball for 5 years, and, I haven't done it as much, but like I've, went over to Europe and done like a whole week of doing clinics, and like nothing's better than that like aha moment, or just watching people's games grow, or getting a message saying like, oh my gosh, I used this one tip this weekend and I played so much better. And so it was also a little bit for me to give me something on tour to kind of, a little more fulfilling, I guess.
Well, so I now I understand we have the full backstory to how it developed. What exactly, which I'm glad we have out there, but what exactly, how do you see it unfolding? Is it like an ongoing thread or chat session, or submitting videos? Like what are some of the things for the women that are looking to, maybe discover it yet? What can they expect when they get on board with it?
I mean, I have had women send me form, and I try to, give tips through that, but I really want it to also, I want to challenge women to like, and share that, yes, obviously you got to have some talent and some natural talent, but I started really late in the sport. And like when I would get off work, when I used to bartend and there was some daylight, I'd go straight to the course, and I was there before work, and I was switching shifts and saving money to play tournaments anywhere and everywhere I could to get competition, and kind of like Heather, take in as much as I could, and all this knowledge. And that there was a lot of sacrifice, and I just want to share, like, to any women who are aspiring to go pro, that like it does take a lot of like blood, sweat, and tears, and it's no joke. And also maybe it be a place to try to get more professional women on tour and share, my stories and tips and tricks. Like today I posted how important it is to line up to your shot and not the tee box. Because if you ever, I mean, you guys know, sometimes I've never done this, but like, what am I trying to say? You tell them to put the tee box here, and then when they pour the concrete, it's facing this way, and the fairway's facing
it's
this
off center.
way. So you got to kind of come off the tee box and run this way. And so I just posted a few videos from this last weekend of where you can really tell I'm exaggerating which way I'm running up, and why I think it's good, and just sharing little tips and tricks like that, and then just allowing the comments to ask questions or expand on that stuff. And yeah, it'll just be everything from beginner tips all the way to sharing what it took to get on tour.
Now,
is it mostly you posting, or are you
so it's just me posting, and then I try to respond in the comments, or if people personal message me, I have no problem.
I didn't know if you were going to bring in some other like FPO women that might help out, like I said, a Heather Young who maybe could give putting tips or anything along those lines, if those were anything in the plans, or if it's just kind of a cat thing.
It's kind of a cat thing, I think.
Okay, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. I mean, I guess like Sarah Sinclair and I did some workouts together, and we posted that, like some examples of what we do.
Sarah Sinclair works out.
I
don't know if I've ever
didn't
seen
even
anything.
notice. We're just kidding. We love it.
Sarah likes to.
She makes me feel bad every day. I'm like, yeah,
know.
we get it, Sarah. We get it. You're working out a lot. I'll get to it.
That was no joke what she came around and did. That's
Wow.
No.
That's a full transformation. More power to her.
No, it is awesome to see, and like Johnny just said, we saw that you guys were getting at. That's how I knew you were working out even before your round, and all the things it's incredible. So I have to tiptoe around this one lightly. You just celebrated a birthday.
Oh yeah, 21 again.
Again.
No, not that far. Not that far.
No, 20. I don't want to be 21 again. You stick me at 25.
Okay.
Like if I could be 25 for a while, that would be fun. But 21.
So
I
you
had a lot of fun at 21. But
So did I. So did I. But I 25.
in celebrating your recent birthday, you are not the youngest FPO player.
Nope.
Although some people would never know, and that's not where I'm going. My question though is it fulfilling or more validating knowing that you're not one of the youngest of the young out there, or any of the young family for that matter, but you're not the youngest of the young out there, and here you are, second or third highest rated woman in the world, winning on any given weekend. Do you see any end in sight for you and the FPO division? Because to be fair, the FP 40 division is almost nil. I mean, there's just not a lot of competitors there. So even if you did want to go there, there's virtually, very few women that regularly compete there. So do you see, how many more years do you see FPO in your future?
I think Austin and I have had that talk a little bit, because I'm a little bit like, okay, I'm 35. I want a house and a yard and dogs and this and that.
Mm-hmm.
And my passion is very similar to like Sarah Sinclair, health and fitness and that kind of stuff. And so I'd maybe want to start venturing down that. But that was also a little bit of the start of competitive cat. Competitive cat was maybe when I feel like I'm too old or I just don't have it anymore, I could possibly start coaching women on tour or men, whatever, with just like practice regimens and workouts and health and nutrition and things like that. My plan is to survive the COVID season as best as possible, get back to Arizona a little earlier this year, practice really hard and see what next season brings, and then just reevaluate from there. Make another couple-year plan from there.
Yeah, and let's be very clear. I'm not suggesting like you're anywhere. Yeah. Clearly, you're not anywhere near that. But
I've thought about it. I've definitely thought about it for sure. Yeah.
I mean, I'm just going to throw out a number and say, fast forward 7 years.
You're 5. For when
okay, 5, 7 years, whatever. Say you're 42, and you're one of the top 5 women in the world still. Do you foresee yourself still playing and taking down events each weekend? If you're still competitive, is that kind of the answer?
Yes. If I am not on the LPGA, yes. I will
okay. Okay.
I'm so addicted to golf, I can't help it.
Okay.
Sorry.
Well, okay.
That's a great answer. That's a great answer. And with your off season in Arizona, you can do a lot of that golf.
Can that happen? Tell us.
I don't know, but I had played almost every day before I found disc golf. In fact, at work, I kind of made fun of the disc golfers.
Okay.
We had like 3 or 4 disc golfers, but there's a group of us who would go out and play 9 holes before our shifts. And now here it is my job. So that's how that works. But recently we decided on Mondays we would play ball golf. So I bought new clubs and things. Well, like a couple weeks after playing, I checked my notifications on Instagram, and I'm not going to remember her name right now because I'm 35 and getting old. But a LPGA player commented on one of my posts. And I just thought that was the weirdest thing. So I said, hey, disc golf lessons for ball golf lessons, but she never replied. So
Oh,
maybe
well,
not. Maybe I'm doomed.
no, that, I mean, I think one of those comments or messages, who knows where something like that could go, and that may blossom into something that would be awesome. So,
No.
LPGA, like, is there ever a point where it's that ambition or that notion or idea is too late for you to do that? I got to
No,
assume you.
I do not think that. I feel like golf is, I don't know. I guess that's not true. If you put your mind to it and you freaking do it,
Yeah.
you can do it. And that's the same way I feel about why I started the page with the women. Is like, you just got to put the time in, and you just have to be committed and make the sacrifices, and you can do it. So really, could I feel like with as stubborn and competitive as I am, yeah, I probably maybe could at least give it a try.
Okay. How good are you? And you don't have to be modest. How good are you?
Absolutely terrible. I shot 104 today, so that's not good.
All right. Well, let's end this.
So no, there's no.
Okay. I didn't know if you were like a okay.
Scratch golfer or something.
Yeah.
No, that's Austin and.
Okay. Now it seems like I think was it KJ? Well, no, Humphreys was out on the course today. Ricky, Paul, yeah. I think those guys were all out on the course. I mean, they're clearly taking the whole, ball golf thing more and more seriously every weekend. It seems like they seem to be enjoying themselves as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's just a nice, I don't know. I thought it would be good just to get one day away from the grind.
Yeah, for sure. Does it feel weird though? And I know this sounds maybe like a silly hang up for me, but it feels weird thinking of going to a facility and paying $30 or $40 or $50. And it's not just because I'm cheap, but to pay that much to go do something that you love. I don't know. Does it feel weird to pay $30 or $40 or $50 or $80 to go play a round of golf? No big deal.
No.
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
It's just we're so used to having free. Like you walk to a course and you just walk on hole one for disc golf. Like it's just there's no payment usually, and then you're playing our sort of our cousin's sport, sister sport, whatever you want to call it, and then you have to pay all this money. It's just
Well, I think, but if you do notice, the pay to plays, say Blue Ribbon Pines, for example, is like incredible.
And worth every penny. Yeah. Maple Hill.
You can see it by you feel almost like you're on a golf course sometimes because there's like, I don't know what hole it is, but there's like the stone steps and there's like beautiful flowers and a beautiful bench. And you're like, well, this kind of seems like a golf course. And you can tell by the changes and, the facilities. So maybe it's a way we should go.
I think we're going to see.
I'd like to see more facilities like that.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a continuation of that. The more serious, the slightly more expensive, but then the better amenities and pay to play. I think that there's going to, good, bad, or indifferent, there's going to continue to be a split of, the really high end opportunities and then your free basic opportunities. And I don't see anything wrong with that in disc golf. We're going to have. Sure. We're going to have all of those options. So one other thing that we, in speaking about your group and socials and interaction and whatnot, sometimes in the past, and I don't know if it's been play related or if I haven't showered or what, but sometimes in the past, you've been a little shy to want to talk after a round. And I guess my question would be, does part of your kind of new mindset change any of that? Is that based on how you've played? What's the best way for us to? Because everybody wants to hear from you. So, what's our best way to do that?
During that tough time of fighting through some stuff, and where I just kind of felt, like I was.
Okay.
It was almost like I don't really know how to explain it. Like I was just like, I just want to be in my own bubble. I don't like.
Sure.
It was just like a very uncomfortable time where I was like, a little stressed out or just like ready. When I was done on the course, I was like, I just want out of here. I guess, to be 100% honest. Like,
No, I very
Bubbles are
much
a real popular thing right now.
From all this stuff is the better. Like,
and that's exactly how I understood it, and I can understand that if you're feeling maybe some discomfort or frustration for a previous few hours of your interaction, and the last thing you want to do is then have me or anyone else hang out and stick around and get a handful of questions. I can understand that. I can respect that. But
it's mostly you, though, Terry. I mean, coming from
I'm
someone
such a
who has
meanie.
to spend a lot of time with you, it's probably you.
Probably.
Well,
but the point being, though, hopefully it's you always know that fans want to hear from you. I personally want to hear from you. Everybody wants to kind of hear some of the thoughts, and clearly I know that some rounds go better than others. Some things are more difficult than others, and I always try to handle all of those situations as best as we can. But hopefully we can hear from you more often.
yeah, for sure.
And now I'll wrap that all up in, it's also kind of fair to say you're not, you're fun-loving and you're social, but you're not incredibly extroverted, and that's obviously not a bad thing. Like, I'm not trying to paint it that way. You and Austin, you've talked about this in the past. You guys kind of stick to yourselves a little bit more than most anyway, don't you?
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, we definitely, when we practice, we're kind of super serious about getting a game plan and just getting in and getting out, like making it very time effective. And yeah, we just kind of do our own thing. We hang out with KJ sometimes, and Zach and all those guys, and Eric and Tina are awesome. And then it was Kayla and I are stay in touch and are good friends, and so it was nice to have her. And there's a few other people I like to go have lunch with, but I don't know. Like I said, I normally go to the gym, eat lunch, and then come back, puzzle, and watch some kind of Forensic Files or criminology stuff.
I haven't, and we'll get this wrapped up pretty quick because I know we're running late, and you are a morning person, as we've discussed.
Yeah, it's like an hour and a half past my bedtime.
Oh yeah, we know.
I haven't seen you pull out a crossword puzzle.
Oh, she's all digital, bro. She's digital.
We got a close up of your phone, and it wasn't a crossword puzzle. It was some tap game you were playing.
Okay, so sometimes I play. I don't even know what it's called, like Pyramid Solitaire or whatever.
Okay.
It's like, like
maybe that's what it was.
You have an ace, you can do king or two, and then if you got to keep going until your cards, you get the pyramids gone. But Marty used to steal them from the hotel and bring them to me, which I think I can say now that he's not out there.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. I was just curious because. Yeah, because clearly now you're on your phone more frequently doing other activities, and a lot of people think that whenever you see a player on their phone, they're checking UDisc and they're looking at scores, that face says it all. It's like somebody.
If people can do that, I mean, good for them. If they can, maybe someday I'll get there. But I figure I'm gonna I already have a game plan. I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do, and I don't need any extra added pressure to birdie more holes or think, I'm playing really great, I'll just chill. Like, like everyone else playing crappy. I just want to
stick to your game plan.
Just keep doing what I'm doing for the day.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
No, awesome. And part of what my question was about, I was just thinking, I think it was Beaver State maybe last year. We were sitting on a backup, and you were talking about, what like a kind of a nightly or daily routine is for you and Austin. And you just flat out said, I'm just generally, we're both generally somewhat introverted, and social media is not necessarily a big outlet for us like it is for a lot of other players. And I've always thought, people think of that as a negative thing, and I don't. I feel like you need to do you, whatever's comfortable for you, and if that's being really social or active on social or not, like that's entirely up to you. And I don't know.
Well, and it's just not a comfortable thing for me. Like, I could sit and just kind of BS with you guys. That I'm totally good with. But for me to just like put my phone up in my face and be like, I can't even do it. Like, hey guys, it's Kat here. Like,
you're awkward right now doing it.
Yeah, you can't even fake it, Kat.
You can't even fake doing it.
no, I'm just not very good at faking and acting. Like
Yeah.
that was not ever my thing.
Well,
Like-
I just think about it. I think it was last year at GBO. One of my favorite memories was one night. I think we were all out at one of the local watering holes, and I got to sit and chat with you for like, I don't know, it's like 20 minutes or a half hour at sitting at the bar, and I believe you were wearing your big fur coat at the time, which I remember thinking like, God, how can you be wearing that? It's really
Warm.
it was really
really?
warm. Yeah, it's like some big hooded like. It just had a big fur, like it wasn't like a full fur coat, but I remember looking at you and going like, that's got to be kind of warm. But either way, it was what people
I'm
don't.
always cold, so
I know, and I just recall that particular instance, just sitting and chatting with you because some of the Jomez guys were there at the time, and what people don't realize is that you are a very professional on the course, but you're such a pleasure to just sit and chat with.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
I
yeah,
don't know.
I'm really and I think that's also part of, my competitive cat thing is like, you have, at the end of the day, you have to remember it's just an individual sport and you're out there playing your game and that's it. Like you have no control of like what anyone else throws or, you're not playing defense. You're not, and, I know there's some players who like to talk because they're nervous and that makes them feel better. And there's some people who get distracted if they get to, and that's okay. And some people like to wear their headphones, that some people don't. And yeah, I feel like each day is different on what you need to do sometimes to get yourself to where you need to play. And then and then I just try to, when I'm off the course, just be just Kat, like just because I throw frisbees good, I don't think I'm anything special. Like I think I'm just a human raised by humans. So
We love it. Well, bringing it full circle as we let you go, a few months ago, someone had asked on our chat board, on our wonderful chat board, someone had asked if I had any thoughts or suggestions, because I'm out there watching FPO all the time, usually, and have done a lot of filming. And I had said something along the lines of, it was a weekend, I think you struggled a little bit with your putting. I said, if I were her, one idea would be to maybe just change everything up entirely, start from scratch, totally different style, something like that. I said, she doesn't, of course, there's no reason she should listen to me. That's just one thought that I have. So I'm here to say I fully love that you continue to do whatever works for you. Obviously, my opinion means nothing, but it's awesome to see you do everything physically and mentally to put yourself in the position to win this weekend, and we expect more of that in the future. So
it's our job as media to have 1,000 opinions. It's their job as players to ignore the media if they need to.
But it doesn't matter. That was just one thought that I had, and I'm glad you've done whatever it is, both mentally and physically, to get things dialed in, because it's awesome watching the competition. It's awesome watching you roll around a place like Sunset Hills and just slay it throughout the entire weekend. It was a lot of fun. It makes everything so exciting for everybody. So, well, Kat, as always, we thank you for joining us. You have anytime you ever want to share anything, whether it's with your group or anything, win or otherwise, you're always welcome here. We hope you know that. We'd love to have you and talk to you more often. And thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank your sponsors. Thank whoever you want to talk to.
Anyone you want to thank?
You off so you can get some sleep.
oh my gosh, I think it would take me an hour to thank everyone. I don't think I've been through all of the messages yet on social media, and so that on top of it just being a full circle for me to come back the next year and get through the adversity and win, and then to have all that love and support on top of it is just like so awesome. So just everyone who sent a message, thank you. And of course, my mom, as always, is my biggest fan. And then I know my friend Emma is watching in Oregon. And thanks to Prodigy, Black Ink Discs, and Disc Golf Pins. And then I think that's it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right,
Great.
Kat. Well, you get to sleep. I know you got working out to do tomorrow, and we love it.
No. During quarantine, I sleep in a little bit.
All right.
Like,
Well,
like 6:30.
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
Well,
That's
you-
when Terry goes to bed.
you guys be safe. Have fun. Looking forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks at the next Disc Golf Pro Tour stop, and we'll see you then.
Okay. And if Ricky makes it, hi and congrats, because I don't think I've talked to him, and you guys don't stay up too late.
All right.
Well,
Sounds
good
good.
luck with
Thanks.
that.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, Kat.
All right. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
And there you have it. Katrina Allen taking down the Ledgestone Insurance Open this weekend. Her margin ended up being 3, but that I feel like that's just a tiny part of the story with how dominant she played throughout the entire weekend. And
She went 3-9-9-3. Those are her rounds. She had a dominant lead going into that final round. She started out the round very hot. I think she got 5 birdies and a bogey, maybe. Oh yeah, I'm right.
Yep.
Ah. And then she did struggle a little bit at the end, as I mentioned, and made it interesting with the way that Paige was playing. Now, I think at one point it was 3 with 3 to go, maybe.
yeah, something like that.
Maybe it was 4 with 3 to go on holes. I mean, and from our perspective, we love to see it interesting. Like, I don't, you know, I'm happy to see Kat win. I'm happy to see Paige win. I'm happy to see Paige Bjerkes win. It doesn't matter to me. I want an exciting battle. Kat kind of gave us that at the end.
Yep.
Because holes 17 and 18 are dangerous holes. You know that at any given point, someone can get up and roll. We saw that from Sarah Hokum on 17. We saw it from Valerie Manejando on hole 18. She had the nastiest roll I think I've ever seen on that hole, where she threw it under the basket and suddenly out from behind the tree pops a disc and it rolls down 125 feet or whatever. So there was still some excitement there at the end as Kat had found a few bogeys and Paige was not. I didn't ever really think Paige was going to catch her when we got down to about 5 holes, but you know, we can always, you know, we root for excitement, but we never want to play off. That's the media's. That's our media stance.
No, get it done in regulation, people. One way or another, get it done. All right. Well, I am going to message one Mr. Ricky Wysocki. He did respond saying that he would be
Didn't we just
available.
have Ricky on like a three or 4 weeks
I
ago?
feel like we did. I mean, that's what happens
I
when
don't-
you win.
I don't care if we have him on again. He's always a blast. He's funny now. He's
He's funny now.
he used to be awkward. Now he's funny.
Wow.
He has moved. He has progressed. I think anybody on our board, he's always been funny behind the scenes, but in front of the camera, he used to be a touch awkward.
Huh.
And now he's
You should
more,
wait till he's here so you can tell him that.
He would probably agree with me. You know, I feel like I'm going to pat ourselves on the back. a
Oh,
little
great.
bit.
You do that all the time, don't you?
We're great. Let's be honest. It was after Worlds in that hotel room.
Yeah, the 2017 Worlds.
2017,
Yeah,
where he was staying in the same hotel, and he just wandered down a few doors, and he sat there in our hotel room in front of a computer reading the chat board, the worst thing a player can do when they're on this, and was trying to respond. Oh, Ricky, I just missed a call from Ricky, apparently. It popped up and popped off. There it is. And it was just a lot of fun, and I feel like that was really felt like a turning point for him and media in general. So
Rotate your phone there, Rick. There it is.
all right.
Coming in from not only the Disc Baron Digital Green Room, but also the Raptor Legs truckmobile. I'm sure there's something more fancy than that. I think I don't know if we have audio from him, but welcoming now is Ricky Wysocki. What up, Rick?
Oh, what up? I'm just in the car driving to Vermont, heading to my 2-week quarantine.
All right.
First and foremost, we just had Kat on. She wanted to congratulate you because she said she didn't have a chance to talk to you yet. So congratulations on your Ledgestone victory.
Yes, that's great. Yeah, me and Kat go way back. We shared. I remember we both toured together our rookie seasons and stuff. So we've always been good friends. So it's good to see her winning, and I appreciate her congratulating me. Congratulate her as well. That's awesome.
Have you gotten out to play a round of golf with her? She's playing golf now, and I know you guys have been seeing that. Have you had a chance to play around with her?
She actually invited me like last week, I think, or the week of D-Glow. She invited me, and then I didn't get a chance to play. I didn't get around to it, but I think eventually we will get to playing. But yeah, she does like ball golf. It's fun. It is a fun sport, especially when you get a good group, good foursome. It's even better.
Yeah, did I see you guys were out playing in the rain today though? Come on now, that seems silly.
Yeah, well, there was the last couple holes were like downpour. It looked worse than it was, but like the first 16 holes were enjoyable, and then the last couple were like, all right, this is kind of miserable. It was like hailing and stuff. It was me, Luke, Yuli, and Kevin Jones.
And of course, what were the scores? Who won?
All right. So the funny thing is we played 2 rounds.
Oh,
The first round, Luke shot 78. I shot 85. Kevin shot 84. And Yuli shot like 95 or something. But the second round, I was really happy I beat Luke. He's a really good golfer. Like Luke,
wow.
I was happy to beat him.
So Luke sets the bar with you guys.
He does. He is the guy when it comes to golf with us. He can shoot like in the 70s like almost every time, which is solid if anyone's golfers out there.
And I know you, Ricky. Can you share what the wager was?
Yes. Well, so we did 20, 20, 20. So it's 20 front, 20 front, 20 overall, and 20 back, and then we may have done skins on top of that.
Okay. We don't need to get too much into details. And does Luke give you guys some strokes?
Negatory. We needed them, but we did not. We have too much ego for that.
Oh.
Like, no, today's the day we're gonna beat you, and then no, he skunks us again. Yeah.
Now, on the flip side, if you guys play golf, you're not giving Luke strokes either. So if you guys play disc golf,
it's funny. I was gonna say something like that. I was gonna say the exact same thing. I go, dude, there's no way I'm giving you strokes for disc golf. You're not giving me for ball golf because ball golf is a lot more variance. We'll put it that way, and we're at our level. It's a totally different.
Yeah, I mean, there's literally a chance. The few times I've played golf, many years ago, I know there's a chance that you could just really take an 11 on a hole. Oh
yeah.
And in disc golf, none of you guys are ever taking an 11 on some par 3 or even par 4. It's just you're never gonna bleed that many strokes on one given hole. In ball golf, you could go like 10, 10, 11, and it'd be like, okay, well, yeah, see, I struggled a little.
I want to golf with Ricky because I'm assuming Ricky has his own clubs, and the one time I actually went out to a golf course, I had to use clubs from the clubhouse, which were meant for a guy who was about 5'8". And
Kmart clubs, yeah.
No, I don't even care the quality. I'm a horrible golfer. I've gone out to the driving range, but when you're 6'6" and you're using clubs meant for a guy who's like 5'9" or 5'8", it's the most miserable thing in the world.
Oh yeah. You have to lean way down. You're hunched over. Yeah.
Like your legs are spread about 50 feet wide.
So you think that would help you?
I think it would be better than what I did. It's not going to help me, but it's going to be.
I don't know.
It's so hard. It's so humbling. It's the type of game where like, oh, cool, I got this figured out finally. Shank.
Exactly.
It's fun. As soon as you think it's figured out, it's absolutely not.
And I make sure everybody always stands behind me when I golf because, again, that same time I went golfing, there was a woman about 150 feet to my right, just barely in front of me, and I got her in the leg with the ball and put her out of commission for the rest of the round. So,
oh man,
it was a bruise like this. Like I drilled. If I would have hit any higher up, I literally might have killed her.
I was always thinking about that. I've always thought about that. I would almost rather get hit with the ball than a disc. I'm not kidding. Depending on how far away the disc is, I don't know though.
A disc. I'll take a disc any day as long as it's not to the head.
Didn't you just hit somebody in the head with a disc?
Yeah, you hit some guy at 500.
I sure did.
What? Tell us that story.
It depends on how far away.
Exactly.
Okay, I'll tell you that story. So basically, we're coming down the stretch of the. It's like a par 5 at a tournament in Indiana. I was an A tier.
Mm-hmm.
Jumped on this way over the top route. I don't know if Garrett was in my crowd, but me and him were like the only people in the tournament that were doing this. But anyway, we bomb our way over the top. Everyone's clear. The only person in the fairway is a spotter. So I'm like, whatever. I didn't think about it. I'm 500 feet away, bombing down the fairway, just trying to crash as far as I can up there, try and land in the fairway. If I land in a little bit in the rough, at least I bomb way over the trees and get way down there on the par 5. Whatever. Anyway, I throw my shot, falls out of the air. I hear this weird noise. I go, what the heck? It didn't sound like a tree or something. I was like, that was really weird sounding. And then I get up there, and they go, oh yeah, you hit someone. And I go, oh. Where was he? He's in the fairway. I'm okay. So I was kind of like back in my head, like, all right, I hit someone. Like, I feel bad about that, but at least I'm in the fairway. So I get up there, I smash this guy in the head, and it rolls. Friggin', this is perfect. I might get a 3 on like the hardest hole in the entire state of Indiana. Plays is the hardest hole ever, and I throw it in a perfect spot, like a landing zone from 500 feet away over these trees, get into like a 5-foot spot where you finally have a shot to 3 the hole. Nope, hit the tree guy, hit him in the forehead, roll sideways into the junk, and have absolutely no shot.
Oh, the nerve of that guy's head! What is he doing to you?
Oh my! I felt bad afterwards because I was so mad that I was in the junk. I was like, oh, and I was in the middle of the fairway. The dude was in the dead center of the fairway, and I literally, from 500 feet away, going 100 miles an hour, I went straight backwards after I hit the guy, which is, it defies gravity. I was like, how is this even possible? And then rolls another 50 feet in the crud. And I was like, oh my. So he ended up messaging me, and I think I sent him a disc or something, but it was one of my good destroyers. But anyways, yeah, it was like if you guys haven't seen the video, check it out.
We've seen it.
Ricky Wysocki. Oh
yeah,
unbelievable.
We
sound.
watched it in an after show.
You're like, ooh, like when someone breaks their leg in half and you can't look at it. It's like that kind of like eerie look sound.
Yeah,
wow.
We watched it on the after show like 2 weeks ago, and I slowed it down and kept watching it hit this guy in the head repeatedly. So we've seen it. Oh, we've seen it.
That video, you have to watch it 5 or 10 times to really appreciate it. But yeah, it was like,
unless you're him. But other than that,
right? No, exactly. That's for him. Yeah.
So he was. I mean, to be all the way out there, he was spotting. He was trying to help you guys in the event, and he just happens to take one of your destroyers to the head.
Yes, exactly.
That's no way to pay back a spotter, Rick.
No,
he got the disc out of it.
And of course, I'm all frustrated because I'm like, oh, where's my disc? And they had to point way into the friggin' biggest tree on the whole course and right in the middle of it. And I was like, oh, mad about that. I'm like, oh, great, sweet. And so I was like, more mad I was in the crap than I hit him. But like, I tried to make it better. Once I finished out the hole, I was like, all right, dude, I'm sorry for hitting you. I was just a little frustrated that I
sounded real serious there. Oh yeah, I'm sorry I hit you.
Head.
Yeah, hold on. Oh, here's a disc. Go away.
Well, I hope next time you hit less people and get the 3.
I agree. I think he was a good sport about it, so I think he would get a laugh if he heard this. I hope.
Yeah. I mean, if he's not in a coma anyway.
I'm sure we'll hear about it tomorrow when he watches this, when all of his friends point to him like, dude, Ricky was talking about drilling you in the melon. Like, this is great.
All right. So moving into this past weekend, Ledgestone, and I said it, on social media today, and I've said it in the past. This was one of the biggest tournaments you have yet to win. Is that a fair way to put it?
Yes, I think you're right there with USDGC. I think that's the last one.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you've won a lot of really big events, and that's not to discredit or put any others necessarily on pedestals, but I'm just thinking of size of the field, challenge of the courses, the payout. All of those things, it checks a lot of those boxes, and this is just one you haven't taken down in the past. And then obviously, even in a similar fashion, you were making your run at Worlds last year that came up just a bit short. So does this feel any extra special?
It does definitely feel special for me, just with the whole Lyme thing, the Lyme setback, the revenge at Worlds, getting back on that. So there was a kind of a lot of things going through my mind. Obviously, I want to win every tournament, but just all those different variables are a big reason to where I had a lot of motivation, more so than normal this week. And so, yeah, it was a good feeling. And I was definitely thinking about like last year at Worlds, I went course record at Eureka, course record at Northwood, back to back to get back and almost come back and have a chance to win. So that was in the back of my head too. Like I play really well at these courses, and I was just looking back on those rounds and really felt like I had a big confidence boost when I was stepping up to start the tournament this week.
Is there anything about the Eureka course? We'll go there because that's where you last played. Is there anything about that course that that sticks out for you? Good, bad, or otherwise? Is there anything that really jumps out at you?
Yeah, what jumps out at me is there's I would say 2 to 3 holes that can basically ruin your round or even ruin your tournament. And so, like the baseball field hole, I laid up on both times, and I was completely fine with that
Mm-hmm.
because that hole in the pass could really, like, you could take a huge number. And this year they changed the rule so that way you advance to the drop zone if you go be off the tee, which makes a big difference.
Mm-hmm.
But it's no gimme up and down from the drop zone. So you can take a double bogey pretty semi-easily from the drop zone if you're not careful. So there's, 2 potential strokes to the field, maybe 3 if someone's really attacking for birdie. So that's one hole. And then the next hole after that, which is hole 6, I believe, is the one landing strip hole. Is that right, Terry?
Yeah. Yep. The long,
Okay.
used to be par 5, now par 4.
Yeah. So it's changed the par, but like just the placement, as much OB as it has, that hole can also ruin your tournament. And I also played for a par on that hole. So I just take that course and I dissect it, and I really respect the fact that there are a couple holes out there that can ruin your tournament, and then I play accordingly. And so when there's no wind, that's my game plan. And when it's windy, there's a lot more holes that can eat your lunch for sure. Luckily, we didn't really have to face that because there wasn't too much wind. But so I think it's all about respect and knowing which holes to know when to be aggressive and when not to be based on the conditions. And it's the same way out at Northwood. You have to respect the course. If you miss a shot, sometimes we're so used to missing a shot and then still finding a way to scramble up there and get a 40, 50 footer out of the bushes and maybe make that. Northwoods, it's like you miss your drive, you have to be fine with taking the par. You can't just be like, oh, I'm going to try and scramble, finagle something. That's when you start taking a double, triple bogey and just ruining your round. So I got really good at that at Northwoods because I know exactly how that course can play. You have to be patient. You have to be okay with getting pars on some holes, which are the top players. We're being so aggressive. We're so good. We have the shot to where it's hard to really tone down sometimes. You find a tiny little gap in the woods. You're like, oh, I can still get a birdie if I hit this tiny slot through the tree with the roller, then hit the roller and, roll up to inside the circle. Well, yeah, if the variance is that if you miss that shot, you take a 6, then it's a big difference. So, and obviously I'm not thinking about what I don't want to do, but Northwoods is just so punishing that you have to respect it.
And to speak to that, it's incredible as I look at your scores, thanks to udisclive.com. Your only 2 bogeys at Northwood were the par 5, which some would argue is a par 6. That's another story. But the par 5, the 1100 footer. So that was the only 2 places you took bogeys there. And then you had 3 bogeys over 2 rounds at Eureka. And that's pretty impressive. 5 bogeys on the whole weekend. I mean, obviously you'd love to have less, but 5 bogeys, that's some solid golf.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not being greedy for sure. I'm happy with if I played that tournament every year and said I could get 5 bogeys, I would be more than pumped. Just because, it's as aggressive as we are and as much as we're attacking birdie, that's just going to happen. And you just got to be able to bounce back from it. And so I was pumped with that. It was actually something I was really trying to obviously go bogey free as much as I could. I know it's probably not realistic coming down playing 4 rounds as difficult as those courses are. But after the fact, I am really happy with the way I played in my course management. I think that just reflects on my course management. And I got around the courses really well. And I was, the 5 bogeys is a direct sign of that.
Yeah, and what I want to follow up on is, again, I'm not much of a stats guy, but I am looking to see the one place where you wildly disappointed me this weekend is you only had 5 putts from Circle 2, or 5 made putts from Circle 2. I see a 49-footer and a couple of 38-footers. Like, Circle Ricky is where you're are most fun to watch. We need to see you make more from Circle 2. Did you not have the opportunities? Or, I mean, because you still had a ton of birdies. What was it? You didn't find yourself in Circle 2 that much, it looks like.
Well, actually, it's funny. I saw another stat where I was first in Circle 1 in regulation, so that's exactly why.
Oh, okay.
It's because I was throwing my disc inside Circle 1 instead of inside Circle 2.
But that's not exciting, Rick.
Therefore, I know, but sometimes you don't have. I'm not there for excitement. I'm there for the W. It's it's excitement for you guys, but it's stressful for me. So it's one or the other. I can't have both.
Well, if you made them all, you could have both. So there.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
but it's still, I gotta have there's still that stress beforehand. Like, there's a lot of stress. I gotta make this. Like,
Rick,
another birdie putt. I gotta make it.
he's got the win now. It's under his belt. Next year he can come back and give us all the excitement. Just get the W, and then next year we'll make it exciting.
Rick, you're not there to collect W's. You are there to entertain us, all right?
Right.
And if you get a W, then good.
Right.
Yeah, Simon's not there, so you're second in line for entertainment.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
No, right.
No, but you do bring, that is a great rebuttal to shut me up on that subject, because I'm just surprised, because we're so used to you being such a Circle 2 superstar, and then like you said, if you don't put yourself in that position to need them because you're always parking it, well then that's a good way to not worry about your Circle 2 stats.
I was just funny. I didn't put myself in that position to where I really had to. Most of the putts were sometimes, I leave myself 35 to 45 feet out. Like that's my sweet spot. But I was just my sweet spot was more of 20 to 33 feet was like that's where I was throwing a lot of my drives this week. Not not that extra 10 feet, and that's why I think I got a lot more birdies than normal, honestly, and beat won by so many because there are high percentage birdies. Because I do make a lot of those longer putts, but just like anything, I'm not, I may make, 50 or 60% from, a longer range, but it's still, it's a lot different than making 80 or 90% inside, 33 feet or whatever the circle, inside the circle percentage is.
So my last stats question question for you is, you were second in OB percentage out of the entire field.
Second lowest. So
second
place,
lowest, second best. How many OBs did you have this weekend?
I'm off the top of my head. I think it was 3.
The answer is 1.
What?
Yeah.
Wow, I even shocked myself. That's crazy.
Hole 6 at Lake Eureka on the 3rd round.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That landing strip hole you just talked about. Yep.
Yep. Yeah. That's what I was talking about. That hole can get you, and that's kind of like. It was in the back of my head, like that hole can really get you, and I was like starting to build a lead at that point, and I would step up that hole. I'm like, all right, if you miss left, because that's at least you get to advance down the fairway, whereas if you miss right on that shot, and that second shot coming into the green, you're basically just rethrowing, and that's when you can take a big number. So I'm like, all right, miss left if anything, that way you can have it advance down the fairway and not take a huge number and limit the damage.
So I asked Kat the same question. How comfortable did you feel on that final round? Like, how you made a run at Paul for Worlds, and now the situation was reversed. Paul was chasing you, which had to feel pretty good in general, as a little bit of course. And how comfortable were you? Did you think anyone could catch you with the way you were playing, or were you just kind of like, I'm just going to do my thing?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's always that, like, the extra pressure, like, yeah, I'm up by, 7 strokes on Kevin, and I think it was 8 or 9 on Paul or whatever. But so there's that. It's a weird kind of pressure, because you have like the pressure of people expecting you to hold on to a lead, and the stress of like me knowing I shouldn't, I should be able to play well and hold on to that big lead. So it's a weird feeling. It's actually more pressure and more stress than leading by that much than actually only be leading by 2 or 3. It sounds weird, but it's just like, that extra pressure of people just expecting you to win by a bunch is like almost more stress and pressure on the player playing with that big of a lead. And so, but for me personally, I was really confident in my game. I guess that's what it boils down to. If confident in my game, knowing that at that time I was throwing really good shots. I had great course management. I know exactly what my shots are going to do. I knew what my game plan was going to be. I knew I was going to lay up on 1 or 2 or 3 holes that I felt like the baseball field hole, the landing strip hole, hole 5 and 6, those 2 holes I was laying up on, which I did, and I was real happy with it. And I was fine with giving up a stroke there if Kevin started making a move or Paul made a move. But I wasn't, my goal was not to leave the door open for anyone to strike. And after what happened at Worlds, I just wanted to get an exclamation mark win and just not even give anybody a chance. So my mode was still being aggressive and attack for birdies going into the final round, even though I was up 8 or 9, because I don't want to let off the gas pedal a little bit, and then it starts getting a little interesting. Then someone starts getting a little bit of Kevin or Paul or whoever it might be starts getting a little bit of hope for it. Then they start getting all fired up. So if you just don't let them get that first initial stroke, early in the round, then it's a whole different ball game and a whole different vibe throughout the round, and that's what was my goal.
And we saw Kevin and Paul both take OB strokes in the first like 3 holes, and I honestly, I think I turned to Mo after like the 3rd hole and said, "It's over." Like I truly don't believe that they will catch Ricky the way he's playing, and the fact that they're taking OB because they're already pushing. Now Paul still made a good run, not at winning, but just a good run for a round. But you just, I mean, I hate to say you walked it in when you shot like an 11 down or something dumb.
Yeah,
a 12 down.
Right.
Like that's not walking it in, but you just felt and looked so comfortable.
Yeah, and that brings up the point that Johnny was just kind of alluding to. After 3 holes, you were 2 down. Paul was even, so you gained 2 strokes on him right off the bat. Kevin Jones was like 4 over after 3 holes, and Barsby was just 1 down. And so, right out of the gates, it's almost like they gave you a little bit more breathing room, literally, after the first couple of holes. And then, as we saw, Barsby had his struggle on 4, or I'm sorry, on 5 on the baseball field hole. That's when I kind of thought too, like, okay, well, there's just not really a good way to come back from that. And it's funny, the Dickerson and LeCastro ended up finishing 3rd and 4th, and you never even saw them those rounds.
No, I know. I never played 1 round with either one of them the whole weekend. Yeah, that just tells you there's the course can it can turn real quick, and if you're not careful, that course can really bite you. But I just feel like I have a really good game plan and skill set to attack that course in a safe but aggressive manner, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely scoreable. It's a definitely scoreable course. It can come back and bite you, as we all know, with OBs and water and things like that. But there are strokes to get on there. Someone's asking me if if it was more exciting to win Ledgestone or meet Lowry Markham. Which funny. Which is the highlight for you?
Oh, winning! I mean, winning Ledgestone for sure. It's my job. It's my career. I'm here to. Like I said, I'm here to win. That's why I practice. That's why I train. That's why I've dedicated my life to this sport. I'm here to win tournaments and show people that I'm the best in the world. That's all there is to it. But yeah, to have Lowry there it was cool. He's a disc golf enthusiast. He's a fan. He's a follower. He loves watching all the videos and stuff. So it was cool to have his support out there and watching. He gave me a signed game worn jersey, and I gave him some of my DGPT cards and some T-Birds and a Destroyer, I believe, or so. So I gave him like a Saki Bomb, couple stamps and Saki Bomb stamps and a disc in there.
Did you offer to throw a disc and hit him in the head?
No.
Okay.
No, I did not. I don't think he would have got the reference. I don't think he saw the video, but maybe. You never know.
Maybe. So, but I guess the next question to all that, which is really awesome to see, how did that relationship, where's the origins? How did it start? Did he just reach out to you on Instagram or Facebook or something? Or how did this whole relationship even, come to be?
I think I messaged him when I heard he was involved in disc golf or something. Like,
okay.
This was like, I don't know, a while ago, months ago, once I first heard. And then I think he didn't get around to seeing it. And then all of a sudden he started watching disc golf or something and saw he had a message from me and then responded. And then he came back and said like, hey, I think I'm going to Ledgestone on Saturday or whatever. So I'm like, oh, cool. And then he came to watch Paul. I offered for him to caddy for me. He was watching a couple holes for me. And then after my round, we were kind of talking, hanging out, did the jersey swap and took some pictures and kind of hung up on my band for a little bit. And then he actually sent me a congrats message. I got to respond back to him, but he sent a congrats after the tournament, after I won. So
you can just thank him now. We know he's watching.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, thanks, Lowry. Appreciate the support, man.
Yeah, that's great. Do you feel like you need Do you feel like you need a Ricky jersey? Like, because you're meeting a bunch of these athletes, and at some point, I know you can exchange discs with them, but it's not quite as cool. I mean, a jersey, that's pretty sweet.
How about a Ricky polo?
That is cool, for sure.
A polo?
Yeah, that would be actually cool. Yeah, with my name on that is a great idea.
Like a Wysocki on the back?
Yeah.
Bomb.
I like that. That's a good idea. Sign it, wear it at a tournament, and then sign it.
Get your manager on that. You got people.
Exactly.
You got people now.
Yeah, I do. You're right. I do.
And that actually is a serious segue. I've seen you grow and thrive, and you're certainly a grinder and a hustler out there. You're very active with the fans, the fan base. I see you at things like clinics and demonstrations, and then also fly marts. You needed help. You need help. I mean, it's just because of your status and because of getting pulled in so many different directions. Kind of talk as much as you can. Share with us your, this whole tour manager acquisition and role and relationship as best you can.
Yeah. Oh, so no, yeah, it's been great. So her name's Ari. She's I spent the quarantine with her in California. And we came up with the idea, and I've been good friends with her probably for five or so years now. So I've known her for a while. She's been around the disc golf scene. She's really familiar. She knows me really well. And so yeah, we just have a really good friendship, relationship. And so we planned this all out where she's going to come on the road. She's been doing, obviously she's been doing like helping out with my YouTube channel, help post videos, but the content's been great. I'm growing that. She's helping with, she's help organize stuff, with tournaments, helping my schedule. She's driving right now, actually. So she's driving while I'm doing this stuff. So I've been doing podcasts.
Let's wave.
Yeah. So she is right here.
Hi.
So that is Ari. If you guys see her around,
Yep.
She will be on the road with me. A lot of the disc golf tour has already met her. But she is behind the scenes as far as a lot of the Wysocki bomb stuff. She's amazing. She's been helping with the website, that kind of stuff, disc sales, helping come out with cool stamps, helping cooking, helping make sure I stick with my health and wellness game plan. I mean, the list goes on. Basically, if there's anything I need to help her have done, emails, for help with Instagram messaging, help with posting, help with just every little thing that goes into it. And that way I can focus on playing, practicing. And that's another reason, another ingredient that went into me playing so well and me competing so well, not just this week, but for the past month. I mean, I think I've got 3 wins, and I've got a second and a fourth at the other ones I didn't win.
Yep.
And so, I mean, I'm just getting top 5s all over the place. Even though I'm not winning, I'm right there in the hunt and playing really well. So she just took a lot of big burden off and helped with a lot of things that I needed help with that I was just overwhelmed with. It may have leaked over into my disc golf game and just the stress part, not even known it. So having a tour manager has been just amazing. It really is. It's I've grown as a player. I've grown as a brand, as an athlete, and it's our sport's growing in general. And so it's getting to the point where it's like we need people help delegate certain things to do. And it's just, it's truly amazing. It's something to where I think it's going to start being more common. And if it's not, then I'm at a huge advantage.
Well, and I can follow all that up and say, I knew it was all legit when at one point in the last few weeks, you were literally playing a round of golf, and I had scrolled on Facebook, and in one of the groups, it said, just now, Ricky Wysocki posted this disc that was for sale, and I'm like, I know he's not posting this disc from the course, and clearly someone else is.
Don't ruin the mirage, Terry.
Hey, come on, Terry, you're ruining, you're blowing our cover.
Come on.
How do you know? No, I was on my phone on hole 12 after I posted.
You're like, Ricky Wysocki, T-Bird, blah, blah, no.
Yeah.
But no, that's, and again, I think that's awesome. That's everything you just talked about, all in a nutshell, is, getting that help in so many ways. And she's also been awesome to hang out with. Of course, I've seen her at every event, and she's always the loudest cheer when you do anything well, and I love it. It puts a smile on my face every time because she's always the loudest cheer.
Oh yeah, she's super supportive in so many different ways. She knows what, how to support. She knows me so well. So it's like, that's another thing to where it's like having someone that knows you that well is it's awesome to have her that there for support whenever you need her, and even when we just get along in general. So that's the most important thing.
So you guys are heading to Vermont right now, and it goes without saying, I mean, you have just destroyed things up in Vermont in a good way. You have very much performed well there. And it's funny, right when we started talking, I thought about you and Kat for a little while were like undefeated up at Smuggler's Notch. I remember my first couple of years up there. Just a really good place for you guys both in terms of playing well. What's kind of your game plan as you quarantine and get yourself ready for GMC in a couple of weeks? Yeah,
no. So basically, we're getting to Vermont tomorrow, and I'm gonna basically read through the quarantine guidelines and see what I can and can't do. And I know I have a group of people. I think I'm not 100% sure, but I think I might be able to play rounds with my people that I'm quarantining with.
Yep.
So I'll be practicing, obviously. So basically my goal is to read through that, see what I can and can't do. And Vermont is a great state. It's really fun to be, there's all kinds of fun stuff to do. I just hope that I'm able to do it with the quarantine guidelines. But yeah, so I'm going to be there for 2 weeks and quarantine. I got an Airbnb, and me, Kevin, Luke, my tour manager, Ari, and maybe a couple other people sprinkled in there. And then so I'm going to quarantine and play the GMC, and then that makes me the 2-week quarantine also makes me eligible for MVP, because I know they're real strict state also. So that's kind of why I'm doing that, to make sure I'm get eligibility and can fully play those events.
Awesome. Yeah, it's obviously some changes and adjustments have had to happen on the Pro Tour, and people shifting around and the events shifting around. Did that make any difference to you in terms of, I mean, disc golf's your job and your life. Did moving MVP to the week after make any difference to you?
No, not at all. I mean, obviously the quarantine kind of messes the schedule up a little bit. I think I had to cancel a tournament or two because of the 2-week quarantine. So that's kind of a bummer, but in all reality, I'll cancel a smaller tournament to play a big event like the GMC with the Pro Tour points and everything that the Pro Tour offers. So it's totally worth it. And obviously I'm trying to play, always trying to play as many as I can, because I kind of had a feeling that we were going to get shut down again. I think USDGC is going to happen, but I think they're still kind of up in the air as far as, like, I heard they were voting on it. I'm not sure exactly all the details, but I know some of the people that were in charge were voting on it as far as happening just, I think, a couple days ago or something. So I'm sure we'll hear more. I think as of now it's still going on, but they were still, like I said, voting on it. And so, yeah, I think it definitely affects the fact that, our schedules change. We have to, be able to change and adapt the schedule quickly based on the changes. But we're disc golfers. We travel. Things happen. And we're so used to just going with the flow, and whatever happens, and sometimes you got to wing it and hope for the best. And so that's kind of what I'm doing with my schedule a little bit.
Yeah, and right now we're seeing, some of the players are opting to get right to Vermont. We talked to Kat, who said she can quarantine the time needed in Peoria or in Illinois and then go up there. And then there's some players that are playing this weekend in Pittsburgh. That's an event I think you've done well at before, haven't you?
Yeah, I love Pittsburgh. Courses are amazing. I know a lot of people there. I played a lot of my first tournaments growing up as a 16, 17-year-old kid playing tournaments in Pittsburgh, so I know the courses really well. But yeah, I just feel like it's in my best interest to just get there early, quarantine, get acclimated, and just enjoy some time in Vermont after this win. And nothing against Pittsburgh. I would, if the scheduling was different, I would definitely play Pittsburgh. It's a great event, great courses, it's great payout. And so I'm kind of bummed I'm not missing it. It's kind of like, it was only like an hour and a half from Cleveland where I grew up, so it's kind of a tournament I call semi-local. Yeah,
no, and of course you got to make the best decisions for yourself.
Yeah.
Ledgestone, 4 rounds over 2 courses. GMC is also 4 rounds over the 2 courses. Do you like that? Do you like that many rounds of golf?
Yeah, I do. I do like it a lot. I think 2 courses is good. I think obviously 1 course is great, but I think 2 courses. I honestly think the 2-course format's better, in my opinion. I would prefer that, just because I think it's a great combination to mix the two: a wooded course and a more open course. And I think the tournaments that do feature 2 courses have the good compromise. Fox Run at the GMC, and then the wooded course and the open course in Vermont, and then the wooded course and the open course Northwoods and Eureka in Peoria. So I think, what's up? And so I think that and then like De La also, De La, and then the open course at De La and the golf course, and then obviously the regular course. So I think that's starting to become the norm for the tournaments that use 2 courses, is to have a good compromise of the 2, and I'd like to see that continue. And I think it's, back in the day, it used to be sometimes 3. I think that's too many. And I think 2 is kind of like the max as far as a big tournament having that many courses.
What I know we're kind of backtracking slightly, but knowing that you've had an affection for Utah and the people and the players out there and the courses and all of that, what has it meant to you to not have a World Championships opportunity this year?
Honestly, not having a Worlds this year, as much as I'm a competitor and I want to play and have a chance to win a world title, it was actually like a blessing in disguise for me, because if it would have happened in June, then I would have played, and honestly I would have probably not had a chance to win because I wouldn't have been healthy at that point. That point in my Lyme disease progress and health, I was not at all ready. I would have trained, I would have practiced, I would have basically put on a front like I was ready and everything ready to go, and I would have just not been at all. And so for that reason, I'm kind of happy and glad because, it didn't really affect me much anyway. Because I really, like I said, in all reality, I probably wouldn't have had a chance to win, which obviously is never my goal. But as a competitor and being a world title, I want to. And I know they're talking about moving it to September, which would have been fine because I'm healthy. I'm actually excited. It's 2021. It gives me I'm healthy now, and I'm going to be only getting healthier as we progress towards the next Worlds. And I am going to make sure I'm more than ready to be ready and ready to win. And that's it. That's all there is to that.
So there's not that, but Cody on the board, and then just in general. I guess I'm wondering, do you feel like you're going to make up for any lost time at the end of the season? We're talking about USDGC, and we're going to have the Pro Tour Championships, but are there other events that you might kind of fill in that maybe you would have otherwise not played, but you might get in a few bonus events near the end of the year, as Cody's asking about the Down East Players Cup being one example, but are there any other events like that?
Yeah, I thought about playing the Down East Players Cup. It's an A tier in North Carolina. So there are some tournaments. So it's USDGC and then the Pro Tour Championships. And normally after the Pro Tour Championships, I pretty much cut it off. Pretty much the wrap up. But this year, I might sprinkle in 1 or 2 more A tiers, but I'm not going to go on a full-on tour after the Pro Tour Championships. I'm going to basically probably shut it down a week or 2 after the Pro Tour Championships.
Okay.
Just because I still want to have I did play a decent amount of tournaments, and I guess we'll just kind of play it by ear, see how the season turns out, and see if there's any other tournaments that get canceled or how it all plays out. As we all know, it's kind of a play it by ear kind of thing. I know Jeff Spring has learned to do that. I'm sure all the regulations and everything that he's dealing with each state and being different with all the tournaments that he's running, and so I think it's kind of similar as far as the players seeing what's going to happen with all that.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to summarize it. Is there's still a lot of uncertainty. We are all very optimistic, but on any given weekend, PDGA sanctioning could get pulled, or just overall COVID guidelines could could hinder an event or an entire region or whatever. There's a lot of uncertainty, but it's good to know you're kind of the guy that's like, tell me where the course is, tell me what my tee time is.
What's the course record?
Yeah, exactly.
What's the course
You're that
record?
guy.
Wow.
For
Yeah,
sure.
Where did that come from? Where is that from again?
I have to give Yuli credit. I feel like he was the first person I heard say that.
Okay.
Like, oh yeah, so he's.
Where's hole one and what's the
definitely
course record? Yeah.
Yes, he's a. When I think of someone saying that, I think of Yuli. Just that's the confident Yuli talk right there.
And then you're like, don't worry about it,
yeah,
Yuli.
which is funny because he's the last person that needs to worry about course records.
Ouch.
Ouch.
Johnny said
like
it.
that. That's
Johnny
funny.
said it, not me.
That's funny. He can handle some.
He can
crap
handle
talk
a
for
little
sure.
bit of, yeah.
But going back to what you said, yeah, it's like my mom used to always tell me, prepare for the best, hope for the worst, or hope for the best, prepare for the worst, right?
Yep.
That's kind of the whole COVID thing outlook that I have with all the tournaments and stuff.
Cool.
Yeah, understandable. Yeah. And I know, and I mentioned this earlier, you are a guy that does in-person signings, and you've done you do clinics and demos and challenges and all of those things, and we're just still in some of those uncertain times where we can't fully embrace all of those extracurriculars just yet.
Yeah, no, I one of the Innova ambassadors in Vermont wanted me to run a tournament or a clinic this week when I'm in Vermont, which is obviously really appealing, but I don't feel like it's responsible to as I'm quarantining to do that. So I'm just basically gonna, unfortunately, I told him I can't do that.
Yeah, and then I assume you like a few others, you probably had to decline quite a few autographs this last weekend, huh?
Yeah, I did decline a lot of them, honestly. There were spectators out there, which was awesome, but it was bad in the aspect where you had to kind of say no to some people, which felt weird.
Yeah, I mean, something you work for your whole life, to not necessarily work for, but something that usually comes with the success of someone like yourself, and then to kind of have to break a few hearts and decline. I saw that for a number of our players. But there'll be more times. We can always approach you, Rick.
Yeah, I'm there. I'm easy approachable as long as it's not during the tournament. Yeah.
What's the maybe this is what would you say is the most either like awkward or weird or awkward comment anyone's ever or question anyone's ever asked you? We'll say during a round or right around the time of play. Maybe you're warming up and someone's like, hey, I don't even want to suggest something, but has there ever been anything weird or awkward somebody said or asked you right around tournament go time?
First thing that pops into my head is, and I'm not superstitious or anything, but when you have a good round and you just walk by a spotter or something and they don't mean anything by it, but like you're having a good round or something, like, oh, dude, 6 shooting or something. You're doing so good, dude. Keep it up. And it's like, no, and I know they mean nothing by it, but like me and my superstitious dumb head, it's like, oh, they're trying to jinx me. Like, and obviously they're not, but like it's just my mind being stupid. Like,
they might be your biggest fan and are 100% genuine.
I know they are 100%, but it's just I'm just saying that it's natural instinct for me to be like, dude, don't say anything, like, but it's not even that big a deal. It just happened at Idlewild. He's like, one of the spotters like, oh, I saw you did way better on whatever hole you didn't take a double bogey. Oh, thanks. Appreciate the heads up on that.
Thanks for putting that in my head.
I switched that double bogey to a actual birdie. And he's like, oh, yeah, I saw you got through clean on 13 today. I'm like, oh, yeah, appreciate it. Oh, yeah, it's just funny. So that kind of stuff, like, happens, but it's more of just me.
Yeah, exactly. People mean so well, and it's just funny how psychologically we can decode that, and overcompensate or turn it into something that it's clearly not meant to be. But
but then I turn it into like a little mental game with myself. I go, no, you got to prove your mind wrong that it's not trying to jinx you. So now I got to overcome that and be like trying to have a challenge with myself. Like, no, he didn't jinx you. I promise. Like, you got to make sure he didn't jinx you. And like fight even harder. Like make use as motivation kind of thing.
It's during the final round, was there? There seemed to be a little bit. I'll just say it. There was almost a little bit of frustration, and I mentioned it on the broadcast, so I'll mention it here. It seemed like maybe it was the start that Barsby had, but he seemed to be a little bit frustrated. Did you two ever have any kind of a conversation? Because some of it seemingly was directed at you. Was there? What came of that?
Me and Barsby. Yeah, obviously me and Barsby are teammates. We're friends, and I traveled with him a lot in Europe, and I'm good friends with him. But so there's nothing bad there. But basically, what happened was on the water tower hole, me and Kevin were standing there. It was our turn to tee. Barsby was sitting back or whatever, and me and Kevin are talking like, "Hey, who has the tee or something?" I go, "I think it's Barsby," and then Kevin goes, "Oh no, I think it's you." And so I was like, "All right, I'll go." Like, cool. And because we didn't see any Barsby come up, like we didn't see any of that, so I was like, all right, cool, it's my tee, like whatever. So I go through my routine, throw, blah, 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 and then I see Barsby like kick the mulch real hard, like more than he normally does. I was like, whoa, what's going on? And I heard like, it's my tee. He mumbled something. I heard something about my tee, and I was like, oh crap, I must have stole his tee. So I felt bad. I did steal the tee, so it is my fault. But at the same time, it was I think it was just a little bit of frustration from him not playing a great round. So I can totally respect that because we've all been there. So it was more. It was. I don't think he was really as mad about me actually stealing the tee pad. It was just more of like that is what like set him off because of the him not playing so well.
Yeah.
And so I kind of put myself in his shoes, and I was like, all right, dude, it's not actually the big deal that you stole his box. He's just frustrated that he's playing bad. So I kind of like took that with a grain of salt, and I didn't really take it to heart because I know how that stuff can go when you're in that kind of mood.
Yeah, and to be fair,
so
I think.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, to be fair, I think if he's going stroke for you, you're both 10 down through 11 or whatever the case might be, and that happens. He's making a joke with you as you're walking down the fairway, and because like you said, he had the rough start. Things weren't exactly going his way. It was just maybe a little bit of a release for him, which I think is really big of you to also understand that that's maybe the place he was coming from, because we all know Barsby's not. Barsby's not like the evil, bitter type by any means.
No. Yeah, he's absolutely not. Yeah, he didn't mean anything by it. And it's like, as a player, where they're coming from. You can put yourself in their shoes kind of thing. So it's like, that's why it didn't really turn out too much. And we and him both, like, we would never even say anything about it because it's like, I know he didn't mean anything by it. So it's all totally fine. And it's like you said, it's funny because like, if we're both playing well, and that happens, I'd be like, he would turn to me and be like, "Oh, dude, thanks for the wind read, you dummy." Like stealing my tee pad. Like, you went before me, but they gave me the wind read. Like that's what he would probably say. If he was playing well. But yeah, so it was totally fine.
Do you ever get out of your rhythm or out of your flow if you're maybe waiting a little longer for other people or groups?
That sounded like a loaded question there.
No.
Are you talking about Northwood by chance, or
no?
You wanted me to go into no. I told you. Yeah. Northwood's fall that you might be talking about.
Totally.
The entire course.
Yeah, totally. That's what we're talking about.
No, that's not where I was going.
Yeah, exactly. No, yeah. I mean, I thought it was. I basically told Nate, I said to him, and I hate to be, this guy or anything, but I told him, I said the backups in general are, in my opinion, because we played Worlds and I didn't even know, I didn't even notice backups at Worlds, honestly. Like, so there's a big difference from Worlds backups to Ledgestone backups, and the biggest thing I can think of is the actual skill set of the low level players. So like, not to mention, but it's a Pro Tour event. There's eight something rated players playing in the event, and you got handfuls of those 920s and low level rated players, and whereas Worlds the qualifications are a lot higher, so it's harder for even the low level players are still 950, 970, whatever the low rating are, versus 820 or whatever the lowest rated was this week or whatever. I don't know what it was. I'm just guessing, but so the actual skill set of players were higher at Worlds. So in my opinion, I feel like it would play quicker if you would raise the minimum rating to be like 950. So that would help the ratings. And the Ledgestone tournament, like the Ledgestone, it wouldn't make a difference because there's so many players that want to play it that you would have no problem filling the tournament with 950 and above. It's got such a name for itself. The courses are so good. The payout's so good. It's doing that would not put a dent in the registration or the field.
It's almost like you need some sort of formula that says if the course par is X amount, you can't have players that are like 930, 920 because they are causing backups. Because you're right, with Worlds, we broke into pools where you had we'll say just the A pool, which is all your top players, probably 1,000 and above, and probably a B or C pool, which was your everybody else. At Northwood, you just. I think Gary, our graphics guy, at one point said that somebody was like 22 over par after like four or five holes at Northwood or something dumb. You can't have that. It's not acceptable at a Pro Tour event. And I know they've done a lot of work in order to get limited to 900 and above and this and that, but they're just this was one of
taking steps.
Exactly, and we'll get there. I just feel like this is one of those courses where You can't have it. You just, because
No.
it hurts the media, it hurts the players, waiting around for 45 minutes for someone to tee. We're lucky enough where we can jump around, and the viewers don't necessarily feel all the weight. But sitting there watching Tristan Tanner figure out every one of his puzzles on his little puzzle game, just it's not great for players, and I think it has to be looked at or addressed.
Well, I don't know. I wouldn't
100%.
get too cocky, Rick. You did bogey the whole both times. You were kind of slowing down the field. Come on.
I know. I'm sure I bogeyed in a quick manner. I'm just kidding. Yeah, you're right. I guess.
I'm totally kidding.
There were some 950 players that beat me on that hole, so I can't. You guys got me there.
No, but in all seriousness, I guess my next question though is, regardless of caliber of players, let's take a look at a few of the concept of the hole. Should there be a hole that generates that kind of backlog? Should we be looking, and this is not to pick on Nate or Ledgestone, in general, if there's a hole, just like we know every time we get to hole 13 at Eureka, there's going to be a backup there. Or 14, should we have these holes that generate or have such a potential to generate such big backlogs? Is that something we should be maybe looking at even more so than the players that are playing them?
It's so hard. I've never really thought about that, but it's such a good hole that where I think yes, it's such a signature hole, and it's a good hole. It really is. And so that's why it's hard to say to take it out for that reason, because it's like you think of Northwoods, I think of that hole.
Okay.
You know?
But somebody that played it at 9:20 in the morning has an advantage versus somebody that played it at 3:20 in the afternoon, because that 9:20 card got through it so much earlier and without probably a backup.
No, for sure. And sometimes there's nothing you can do if someone's taking a snowman and there's 3 people on their car just playing whack-a-mole with all the trees. There's nothing you can do. That's gonna take. If you have 3 8s on the card, it's gonna take 45 minutes to play that hole.
Mm-hmm.
And some people are gonna take a couple birdies and a couple pars and take 10 minutes. So it's it's a tough compromise, but I honestly think it's a good enough hole to where you have to keep it, and it's just like it's a win-lose no matter which way you look at it.
It sounds like Heinold's paying you. Yeah.
Heinold did pay him with a nice $6,000 check.
Right,
because Ricky played so well.
I gotta show my support back for him for
That's right.
raising so much funds for the tournament.
What do you think of the? I'm just gonna say borderline absurd payout with how deep it goes, how good overall it is, and then having $60,000 handed over to St. Jude. What do you make of all that?
It's amazing. I mean, I'm glad to be front and center of obviously collecting a big check, but no, I think it's amazing what he does with St. Jude. I mean, he's really consistent with it, and he raffles off baskets. He's doing so much throughout the year to really donate to St. Jude, and $60,000 to St. Jude. That's awesome. That's a great look for disc golf, for everyone, for him, for the sport. So I think it's awesome, and I think that the payout was amazing, and that's another reason that boils back to the rating is that the 950 players those people know the payouts are deep, so they're like it's more enticing for those players to want to play, and but yeah, no, it's amazing to have a tournament like this that really caters to the pros, and really challenges the pros in a lot of different aspects. It's like it's funny how these cities like Peoria, Emporia, they're not like huge cities. Like Peoria is, I guess, a way bigger city than Emporia, but it's still not like a big city, like like a Chicago or like a Wisconsin, Milwaukee or any of those. Mm-hmm. So it's still a smaller city, and these cities just get behind disc golf. The cities support it. They mow the courses. Nate's got such a good relationship, and you see that with like Emporia, with Peoria, with all these smaller to medium level cities. Disc golf is really taken over, and it's really awesome to see that really just spread to a lot of the different cities across the country, honestly.
Yeah, it's incredible, and I had to verify this. Do you have any idea? Can you name events that have paid you more? Can you name the events that have paid you more for your efforts in getting a win?
Yeah, I mean, I was actually thinking about that. I know Australia, Worlds, Japan Open, and I think that, I mean, there's more, but that stops right there.
Oh,
for
no.
me.
So, so here you go. To put this in perspective for everyone out there, your 2017 Worlds win, which was your second Worlds title, paid $12,000 in Emporia.
Yeah.
Your the Pro Tour Championships in 2017, that same year, paid $10,000, and your first Worlds in 2016. I'm sorry, 2016 was in Emporia. 2017 was in Augusta. I apologize, but anyway, 2016's Worlds was $10,000. And assuming those are all, the rest of your stats are right here on PDGA.com, this would be your next biggest paycheck.
Wow.
Wow, that's crazy.
So $6,000. You won $5,000 at the European Masters in 2016, and in 2014 you won $4,400 in Japan. So this is your fourth largest paycheck ever, and two of those, the two that were in front of that, were World Championships.
That's amazing. That's crazy. That is crazy. That's interesting. I didn't even think about that.
Well, you also thought you had more than one OB stroke this weekend, so I don't know what you're doing with your stats.
I surprised myself.
It just felt that way. It just felt that way on your two holes.
No, that's incredible.
Exactly.
So very, very cool to see. To see those numbers.
We do have a super fan out on the chat board. Pat Perman. She says says hello, and I believe she says you're her favorite pro. I don't know what that means.
Okay. And she said you're also the best ball golfer she knows. Weird.
Yeah, that's very strange.
Oh my god, that's fun. Well, good. I'm glad you don't know that many ball golfers. Then. No, I'm just kidding.
That's awesome.
That's funny. What's up, Patty?
Yeah, and I maybe it's not public knowledge, so I won't go all into it. But she said she might be helping you out with some long-term future endeavors, some way down the road, one way or another, which sounds awesome. So
Patty?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, she is. She helps me a lot. She helped me with. Yeah, she's basically like my second tour mom, basically.
Awesome. Yeah, it was great seeing her out there this weekend. I had a chat with her, and for those who don't know, we're talking about Paul and Pete Ulibarri's mom, who great to see her out there, and her positive and uplifting spirit. That's always great to see whenever she's out on the tour. She's cheering everybody on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, she didn't say anything about you being quite her favorite son, but
I got to have a Victor dinner with her, so that was nice.
It's unspoken.
Yeah.
All right, Rick. I think we've covered most of everything. I mean, you were just here not too long ago. When you keep winning, you got to keep coming on. But is there anything else we need to chat about, or should we just expect to see you in a few weeks when you win another tournament?
Yeah, I mean that's definitely for sure. But I got to thank my sponsors.
Please do.
Info for sure. Wysocki Bomb. Check me out. Growing my website. I've been putting a lot of cool stuff on there. Stay tuned for Facebook. I've been posting a lot of cool discs on Facebook. But Shady Rays and Ridge Roller, those are my main sponsors right now, and they've been supporting me. And Backstage Organics also. They've been sending me some good stuff and compliant with my healthy new nutrition plan. So thanks to all them for supporting the Wysocki Bomb and making me who I am.
And I love the Wysocki Bomb masks because when you wear them, it looks like you have a big smile on your face. So it's great.
Exactly. And I'm a smiler, you know.
I know.
You sure are.
So it's perfect.
All right, Rick, you know it. We love talking to you. You're always welcome here, whether you're winning or not. You're always welcome to check in with us. We appreciate the grind, everything you're doing out there on the road, and then the spirit and the drive and the grit and determination you bring out onto the course every week. Again, win, lose, or draw, we love seeing it, and look forward to seeing you in a couple weeks at the next event, buddy.
Thanks, guys. Really appreciate being on Smashbox. You guys are awesome.
All right, appreciate it.
Drive
Have a good
safe.
night, Rick.
Thanks, guys.
Be safe, guys. You and Ari, take care. See ya.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
See ya.
Oh,
Rick, just along for a casual ride.
Just what must be nice to have, just someone
a driver,
just driving for you.
yeah. Awesome to see.
She seems like she's helping out quite a bit, and it's good to see Ricky back in we'll say mid-season form for him
Yeah.
and competing, because we've said the same thing about Kat as Ricky. When we have that type of competition, the sport is better.
Mhm.
When we have the variety of your Kevin Jones, Ricky Wysocki, Paul Macbeth, all those guys are playing well. Our sport becomes so much more exciting.
Awesome to get another check-in with Rick, and being around Rick, you just always know he's never going to be shy about blurting out hilarious statements one way or another, and just even thinking about our conversations in public or private, they always seem to bring a chuckle to my face. A smile to my face.
They put a smile on my face like a sake bomb mask.
Exactly. Find yours today on sakebomb.com.
Oh, most certainly. I wanted to talk a little bit about some situations we saw this weekend. We saw, I feel like more so than in previous events, or at least we were privy to them, some rules issues this weekend. And primarily in the FPO division. I don't think was there any in the MPO?
I mean, Rick jumping.
Rick, which we'll clarify that. The first one is a courtesy violation, probably, and after that, it would probably be a 2-stroke penalty if he continued it for some weird
I think
reason.
it would be even maybe
One.
just a
one stroke
for. I mean, I don't know if someone would argue misplay or if it would be continued to be argued as a courtesy violation.
Okay.
I'm assuming.
So, we'll just assume that. So we saw two real kind of big issues in the FPO. The first that comes to mind is Lisa Fakis, who, got her Smashbox bump a couple weeks ago. She, I'm assuming unknowingly, brought her bag. She was on hole 15. She kind of got caught up in the stuff on the left. She stepped out to check how to get around the corner. That's the big dogleg left. It goes basically about, 280 feet straight ahead, and then another 200 feet straight left. And she had placed her bag kind of at the corner, grabbed some discs after she, checked out her lie, and then used her bag as more or less a marking device.
Mm-hmm.
I did, honestly, our commentators, Val, I believe it was Val or Jamie, I think it was Val, though, had said, wow, that's a great idea. And I don't always listen or pay attention, and I was just like, oh, yeah, I personally didn't know that was a violation in our sport. You cannot put something down to use as a marking location. I knew it was an issue in ball golf. There's been a couple situations where people have tried to send caddies out to mark lies and things like that. But to be fair, I've been playing for 20 years, and I did not realize that was a rule in our sport. So she was penalized 2 strokes for that. That was definitely a violation. So if you're out there listening to that, you can't do it, because we've all been in the situation, whether it's a league or a casual round, where you're stuck in the woods and you just tell someone, hey, can you ring the chains for me?
Mm-hmm.
And this is slightly different. She literally placed something in front of her lie to kind of mark it. The other thing we saw, which did not result in any penalty strokes, and another thing we saw on camera, was Haley King on hole number 1 at Sunset. Haley threw a disc near the OB. Our cameraman happened to walk up on her approach. Everybody in the world saw she was in bounds, but she took relief from that lie. And I think there was some questioning about whether or not she had discussed it with her group. Her group just saw her take relief and assumed she was OB. I think what I caught on camera was her saying that she had asked her group, or she had acknowledged it with her group, that she was in bounds. That's where the discrepancy lied. And then she threw her, I think it was a forehand up to the green, and I think she took a 3 or 4. Either way, it doesn't really matter what her score was. When they got to the next hole, Haley had said, I took a 3 or 4, and they were like, no, you went out of bounds. She's like, no, I didn't. And there was some discrepancy as far as that, because she had said that she called them and they acknowledged, or maybe they didn't acknowledge it, but they didn't realize that. Am I right in that situation? Approximately?
Yeah. So if I was understanding it correctly, as they were explaining the situation after the round, she had said she got to her lie, and I think summons is maybe a strong word for it, but had basically made some indication to Sarah or to the group that she's in bounds. And I recall Sarah saying something to the effect of, well, I saw her pacing off her lie, therefore I didn't walk over there because I just assumed then she was out of bounds. And now that can also be a little bit iffy because we all know that
you get relief.
You can get relief even if you're in bounds. If you are 1 inch from the out of bounds area and you want to still take up to 1 meter relief, you can do that even though you were in bounds, and that's always an option that you have. And that's exactly what the situation was, in the fact that she was in bounds, she was just still taking her relief. However, when Sarah saw that, and her and the rest of the group just assumed she was in fact OB. And now where the disconnect really comes from is, and this could be just because Haley is a slightly newer player, and this is where the PSA comes in for everyone out there at home, is
I learned this way early in my career.
Exactly, is the fact that if you are ever in a somewhat questionable situation where it is unclear to either you or your card mates as to whether or not you're in bounds, you should always get another member of your card or multiple members of your card to come take a look at it. And I think we even saw that I don't know if it was the very next day or later in the MPO round when somebody had said, "Hey, do you want to come look at this?" No, it was FPO. It was somewhere else in the FPO, one of the other cards,
I don't know
maybe
if
even
that was
that
on
same
camera
day
or not, but-
Yeah, it may or may not have been. But in another situation, somebody it might have been Paige got near the water's edge on a hole and had said, "Hey, do you guys want to come look at this?" And they're like, "No, you're good," or whatever. But always give the group that heads up of, "Hey, come take a look at it," to assure, because the rule states that if no one checks it, you could be presumed to be out of bounds.
Nova Polite on the board says 802.06H, if the thrower moves the disc before a determination regarding its out-of-bounds status has been made, the disc is considered to be out of bounds.
Exactly. And so that was exactly the rule in the situation that the players then were looking at.
It's 806.02. Come on, Nova.
Gosh. Yeah, so that's the exact rule. So if you are ever close, and you might be in bounds by a full 7 feet, but it might be in a position where some of your card mates haven't seen it, it went down a hill, or it's near water's edge, and you are way in bounds. Still ask your group or card members to come take a look at it, or to give the confirmation that they see you were in bounds. It's a really good practice to do no matter what,
100%.
So that other people can see that. So there's never a question of this kind.
And I know I think I told you this on the phone, that this exact situation happened to me my very first Am Worlds 99 in Kansas City. I think it was like my second hole of the tournament, even, or something, first or second. I threw off to the right. Everyone else threw straight ahead. There was like a little creek that was considered OB at one of the courses. I had walked up, marked my disc. Everyone else kind of walked over theirs. I got up and threw because I think I was furthest out. I walked over, and one of the gentlemen was like, were you OB? And I'm like, no, I was in bounds. And he's like, oh, well, you didn't, let us check. And I didn't. Again, this was, a long time ago. I was like, oh, I didn't realize I had to. I was in bounds. And the guy's like, yeah, you need to make sure that if there's any question about it from anybody, that you get someone to take a look at it. And it was as simple as that for me. There was no, he was just notifying me, which is great when at the time I was a relatively newer player. I almost feel like there could be like a rules adjustment, or I don't know if it's a rules adjustment that needs to happen, that says, if you're eligible to take relief, you should have someone on your card verify, even if you don't take it, because we know that sometimes if you don't need to take your full meter, you may not want to, but if there's the option inbounds or out of bounds, a player on your card should probably check that out.
Yeah, it's just good overall practice. Again, anytime I think you are near an out of bounds area and you are inbounds, you should always then just say, hey, do you want to come check it out? And I would like to make a very specific distinction on this. Sarah and Ellen were both saying they believed in fact, that Haley was in bounds. That was not the question. Their statement was more of a fact of following the rules.
The letter of the law.
Yeah, the letter of the law and the rules in that, and they were very clear about that after the fact, because this happened on their very first hole of the day, which was round 3.
Yes.
And when they decided to, take the situation and we'll say table it all the way to the end of the round, which was perfectly appropriate to do in this case, and then they brought it up with, the tournament director and the eventually the course director, Jeff Spring, got involved, so on and so forth, and then they brought the situation to them, which is a perfect way to handle it all. And countless times I heard Sarah and Ellen saying, we believe, that she was in bounds, but that's the way she played it. We wouldn't have known that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and that's ultimately what it comes down to. The cameras, there's, even though you can't use it, there's video proof she was in bounds.
Sure.
She took the relief, all the other good stuff. No one is accusing Haley of lying by any means. It's just a matter of you need to be thorough with the situation and the rules.
Yeah. So, There's your PSAs. Just make sure you always do that. I'll tell you this: in Haley's very likely very long disc golf career, she'll probably never make that mistake again. And I feel like that's a lot of mistakes that most of us make at one time or another. Whatever it is. Usually when you make a mistake that you're penalized or very close to getting penalized for, or whatever the case might be, usually you make it once in your life and then you never do it again. And there's plenty that I've done myself.
And I feel that's, if everyone takes a thought and thinks about a couple tournament rounds where maybe you did go OB or maybe you were just close, I can guarantee you that probably everybody has had a situation where maybe they walked up and just naturally marked it in bounds, because you get to your lie before everybody else, and everyone just believes you and there's no thought about it. But technically, you could probably be penalized for each one of those times. So just make sure if you're playing a tournament and you go out of bounds or you go, or it's close, that you have someone in your group check it.
All right. And there's a couple of people, this isn't fully interactive, but kind of, a couple of people are suggesting that it should be the other way around, that the other players in the group should then have to say, hey, we'll need to check that out, or that the onus should be on the other players to say that. And I'll just politely disagree completely.
I disagree.
As Nova put, the rule is intended to prevent a player from seeing the disc as just OB, quickly picking it up to destroy the evidence, and then marking the relief and claiming it was safe. That's exactly it. If there's 3 people walking down a fairway and you're kind of off in an obstructed area, or you're down the hill and people can't quite see where you are, and you walk over there quickly, and you potentially then mark your lie and take in a meter, even though you were 6 inches OB, and they never saw it in the first place, it shouldn't be a race to who gets to the disc first, to verify this. So I love how the rule is currently written, and I'm totally fine with it. I understand what you guys are saying about the other way around, but I like how it's currently written. If you are in a questionable, and it's the same, really, this thing end up kind of also applies when people they'll get into an awkward stance, and all of a sudden they'll have their foot behind their mini, and maybe they're straddled out and their knee is in a position. They may say to a player, is my knee good?
Am I good?
Is my foot good? Am I good here? And then somebody else in the group will commonly confirm that. I feel like it's the same sentiment there. You're double checking that you're not about to violate or be in or break a rule of any kind, and you're doing it ahead of time just to make sure everyone's on the up and up. I'm totally good with that. So anyway, we kind of beat that to death, but that is what I would suggest.
We didn't beat that to death. We could beat that to death, and we have in the past.
Right. So when I did, anyway, that's something that it just overall can and should be learned. And then, like you said, not having a anything in the fairway, and it was. I love how the rule is worded with regards to the bag and the object and such in the fairway, or placing an object.
And CK, Mr. Chuck Kennedy, had even said that there could be there is another rule or two that actually you could have brought in there, as far as changing the lie that's in front of you by putting your bag in front of you or something along those lines. And I was just at this point kind of just browsing the thread, but there are other options out there. I do want to talk real quick a little bit more about Ledgestone and just go over some of the results. I know we talked to Kat. Second place, as we talked about, Paige Pierce, who made a stellar comeback for that final round, shooting an 11 under. Heather Young, who's putting this weekend, was just
like every other weekend. Great.
I feel like it was even better than other weekends, but I know she's a great putter. Just what a great. Mo and I were talking about how we felt like the FPO rounds were way more exciting than the MPO rounds this particular weekend. Haley King.
You sound sexist, but okay.
Well, Haley King, who had an up and down final round, shot a 3 under to take 4th place. She shot, very well over the weekend, so props to her. And Valerie Manduhano. There was a big discussion between Jamie and Val because the J sometimes can sound like a Y and sometimes can sound like an H in Spanish, so it's Manduhano. So Valerie Manduhano took 5th, tied with Sarah Holcomb. So congratulations to all the women who played very well. I think Kat took home, someone said $1,600 for the win on that.
I can confirm here in a moment.
Oh, good. How come they didn't get the big 1,700. They didn't get the big giant checks like St. Jude did they?
I'm not sure if she did or not. I know Ricky did.
Oh, he did. Okay, I'm sure
Ricky did.
I'm sure Kat would.
I think I have
as well.
I think I have Josh Anthons from a few years ago in my.
I think you do
in my office.
And over
he didn't want to take it on the plane. He was like Happy Gilmore and didn't want to put it in the back of his car and have them all stack up. Yeah.
Over on the MPO side, obviously we talked to the winner, Ricky Wysocki. Second place was Paul Macbeth, 8 strokes behind him. You don't hear that very often or very recently. Taking second place, 8 strokes. Third place, Chris Sunday Superman Dickerson, who 1081 is what he's been averaging on Sundays. Like for the last 3 or 4 events. Just the guy has a final gear that if he could just
kick into first, second, and third rounds.
That's right. He might. We might see him. I just think he's afraid of cameras.
He
just doesn't want to be on camera. He likes to be on the 3rd or 4th card and then jump his way up to some decent cash. Nico taking 4th and Kevin Jones having a little bit of a rough final round, finding the OB quite a few times, but taking 5th place at 17 under par. So those are your top 5 finishers in each division. Congratulations to all of them.
All right. And to bringing now that I found the exact rule, I didn't want to misquote it earlier. So with regards to the device, did you already mention that? Placing an object as a directional aid is not allowed. That is the exact wording.
Which I think is very crappy wording.
Placing an object as a directional aid is not allowed.
Horrible.
I was thinking about this myself because I will readily admit.
Only because I think there's so many options for loopholes.
Quickly, I will readily admit there was chatter of this situation. Hannah Macbeth was doing some Ledgestone Instagramming and social media and telling me about what had happened. She asked if that was allowed to do what had been done. And I said, yeah, show me in the rules where it's not. I was very incorrectly cocky about it. And then moments later, between Paul and Jeff Corns, they had sent over this exact rule. So I will yet again admit I was fully incorrect. I have no problem admitting when I'm wrong. Tell me what you don't like about this line. Placing an object as a directional aid is not allowed. Because I was trying to think of loopholes. What's your example?
Your caddy.
Are you placing an object?
No, that's what I'm saying. I think it's bad wording because if you were sitting there chatting with your caddy and you said, "Hey, I'm kind of here in the woods. Can you go stand at the corner there so I kind of know where to throw?" Should that be legal? Because
I'm reading the exact wording. Placing an object as a directional aid. Is that what you would consider placing an object as a directional aid?
No, I did not place that there. I directed a caddy to go stand there, but I didn't place it there. There should just be the wording should be changed that any part of the player cannot be in front of the lie, and your caddy is part of you. Because you get stroked based on your caddy, you get all that stuff. The caddy must stand behind you. not at all times, but whenever you're throwing, I just think that's a better, and that's not the perfect wording. I'm sure the PDGA,
still not, no.
The rules committee could do better, but placing an object, if I tell you, if you're just a spectator, like, oh, hey, can you stand here instead? And then I go to my lie and throw to a spectator. Did I place him there? No, I directed him there. I just think it's a little bit vague with the wording, and there are a few kind of loopholes you could easily use to make your argument. The spirit of the rule you're breaking, most certainly, but by the letter of the rule, I think you could loophole that, and that's where I feel
a caddy. I felt like is almost literally the only thing that could come close to a loophole. So if you don't have a caddy, I don't know other ways you could do it, because I thought about, well, what if you spray painted a tree the night before? Well, that's going to be against the rules. You can't be spray painting on courses. That's placing any other object, whether you leave a pile of leaves or a bag or a stick in the ground, those are all still placing an object. I think the rule is pretty clear, unless, like you said, a caddy is about the only way, but you're still not placing them.
Which is why I think you could easily make the argument that I'm not breaking the rules if I'm having my caddy help me and go into a specific spot. You could that argument could be 100% made, and I think there's nothing that your competitors could do about it. There's nothing the PDGA could do about it, which is why I think you're breaking the spirit of the law and not and like, again, loopholing it, so to speak. You can't do it in golf. In regular golf, because that was what Mo and I were having this discussion.
But isn't that what the flag stick does?
Yes, but it's there for everybody. And Mo was telling me about a situation at one of the major events. I think it was Dustin Johnson. I don't know, because Mo knows all these people. And he basically wanted his caddy to kind of line him up. And the caddy's like, I can't do that.
Which is funny, though, because we do it we do it all the time in disc golf, and our own friendly, we'll say, competitors do it all the time. How many times have you been down a hill and then you go in between you and the basket and you say, yep, the basket's 10 feet behind me? That happens all the time. So the question is, who's breaking what rule at that point?
Is it the competitor that's helping you? Is it you? And then, I mean, the question is, so they say that and then walk away. Could Lisa have gone up there? I know this is a funny situation. Put her bag there. Let's just say she gets this in the 30 seconds, even though no one seems to be timing anybody. Looked, say, okay, that's where my bag is. Walked up and then moved her bag back to where she was, and then gone. Say there wasn't a tree nearby, and it's more of a field. Like, I know we're stretching here, and that's what SmashBoxx does. But that's what everyone's here for, right? There are funny situations that she placed it, but then moved it. I don't know. Again, I think you could very easily, there are arguments to be made, and I think the ruling could be worded better, is what I'll say.
Yeah. So one final time, 813.02 under illegal device, section A. It says it may not use any device that directly assist in making a throw. Devices that reduce or control abrasion to the skin, such as gloves, tape, bandages, and gauze, and medical items such as knee braces and ankle braces are allowed. And then the very next line is placing an object as a directional aid is not allowed. So, all right, that was we're talking rules here.
Oh, it's a rule podcast. That's what everybody
we're
gets
talking
excited
rules,
for.
PDGA rules here. Talking them.
So those were just the two things I wanted to just briefly touch on as far as the Ledgestone was those rules, and we got everything else out of the way as far as scores. So, Terry, do you have much else for us? We got two great interviews in tonight.
No, I think anything else could be left to the after show, where we could talk about rangefinders and we'll say the reversal of the rangefinder rule in the last few years. Somebody did ask about that earlier today, and we could touch on that a little bit as well in the after show, along with some other random stuff. But for now, we can wrap things up. We have to, of course, thank again Katrina Allen for joining us, coming in from her mobile travel unit, home facility, camper, RV operation, and then Ricky,
From
who
the
is
road.
truly mobile.
We usually
Literally
get one of those a year.
Oh, yeah.
A driver,
I'm
not a
good-
driver, someone driving.
good with that. And of course, our MPO champion from the MPO side. We can give maybe some pats on the back and accolades to Ledgestone and Nate Heinold. We can do all that in the after show. It will be brought to you by Ledgestone Insurance. Just kidding. Write us a check, Nate, and you can present our after show tonight. But we'll talk about that stuff as well in the after show, along with some other odds and ends. So for Johnny V, Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, this has been podcast number 311. Thank you to Katrina and Ricky and all our amazing chat room followers and contributors. We look forward to seeing you in the after show. We're going to have some giveaways. I think we got even maybe 1 or 2 extras to catch up on over the last few weeks, and we'll be glad to do so because we love you.
Don't forget, if you're listening to this after the fact and you want to join us on the chat room and kind of sit and have your voice heard or yell at us for any particular reason, you can do it every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Central on our YouTube page, our Facebook page, or you can be like our third Twitch viewer.
Be a Twitcher. That's what they are, right?
Yeah, Twitchers. Yeah.
Johnny V, Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, 311, signing out. We'll see you in the after show when you step inside the Smashbox.
Thank you to our $2 and above patrons. Your name is listed below in the credits. If you are interested in being listed as a producer in the SmashBoxxTV credits and supporting this and other fine podcasts, please visit patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Smashbox TV's podcast 311's After Show. Here we are, ready to get at it, folks. Hot topic immediately coming in. Well, first I'm going to start with this one and hope I don't forget the second one. First one being right now on the board as we closed out the regular show, a lot of people talking about not only the whether you can place an object in the fairway, which you can't, or an object for directional aid. The new topic being rangefinders. And I saw this posted in other places. And just to give a little context, rangefinders used to be illegal / disallowed in PDGA events. Explicitly I feel like spelled out. Use of rangefinders is illegal. Maybe was the wording. I'll paraphrase. In the last
2 years, 3 years. It's probably longer than that.
It's been longer than that,
It feels like 3.
I was filming an event where Barry Schultz used it, and that was at least a couple years ago, 3 or 4, maybe 5. Speaking of which, happy birthday to Chuck Spikeheiser Conley, because I feel like it was an event that Barry used it at, was a Chuck event, a Chuckster event. So a happy birthday to Chuck today still. Somebody can find the exact rule changes per PDGA. However, they then made them allowed. The question is, did it just become inevitable because so many people have then said, well, with the increase in technology we've seen, the advancement in technologies, we all know you could GPS the course ahead of time. You could use UDisc, not a paid advertisement for udisclive.com or the UDisc app found on the Apple and Google
Android,
Play Store.
Google
Yes.
Play Store.
You could be using those anyway, and no one would ever know. So I don't know what the reversal was, why they went from no rangefinders to rangefinders, if they just maybe felt it was something that was going to be inevitable anyway, or there were going to be other ways to work around it. I'm not sure. However, it used to be that you could not use them. That got reversed to now that you can. And now, more than ever, we're seeing them used more because we see someone like, just in the last few months, the company Bushnell has come in, who's a rangefinder company, has come in and is really supporting and embracing and jumping on board with disc golf. And this is also not a paid advertisement, but they handed me one.
Oh, you've got one
this weekend.
Did you tell them you have to get 2, one for me? I mean, that's really all you don't.
Yeah, there's two eye things in there. One for you, one for me. And I'm going to hopefully find some creative ways to go out and put it to use and to talk about it more. They handed it to me with no expectations, but I do appreciate it. And they are going to have a full released dedicated version, I guess, in the next few months. But it does read in feet, which, as we all know, at least here in the U.S., is how we measure all of our courses. And that's something that's new to them. They have not otherwise measured in feet. So Correct. It's kind of a big deal for them to get this conversion going. And
it requires math. That's tough.
Yeah. And sights and scopes and glass and whatever.
To be honest, it can't be that difficult. Like, it's probably just something on their side to change, if totally. You can do it in meters, you can do it in feet. But I'm glad that they are taking us. I mean, that's a big deal. They're taking us into account. They're changing a product
100%. Absolutely. I mean, we talk about large-scale sponsors, or we talk about just outside of the sport recognition and or embracing and collaborations and those types of things. I put it right there with Zuka. Zuka, who's made a cart that's been largely used for cosmetics and for school supplies and for avid bingo goers, was really their market and just travel and overall luggage. And now for them to get into disc golf the way that they have in a roundabout way, but now they're here in a massive way. I don't know. Yeah, I think it's great. And if you don't love any of those products, that's fine too. You don't have to have anything to do with them. But the fact is, these are large-scale companies that are, having a crossover into getting involved with disc golf. And to see actual Bushnell employees at the tournaments, I think is awesome. So, and Cody, thanks for the
I'm kind of
chat.
surprised, and I don't know particular golf rules. I know they're not allowed in standard golf, but I don't know what the rule is with your phone. If you're allowed to even have your phone on the course for golf, because you're right, you could very easily just do and it wouldn't be quite as accurate because GPS is only accurate within 16 feet, and the particular hole can be placed in multiple different spots on a golf green, unlike us. But it seems like one of those old antiquated rules where it's like at this point it's almost kind of pointless.
I understand some of the, we'll say, traditionalists or whatever phrasing you'd want to give them, when people say this should be something you have to figure out and know in terms of when you're on a course to know how far away from the pin you are, I totally subscribe to that mentality. And everything I just said about Bushnell and outside companies is all true. However, if someone said, we're never going to allow rangefinders and no GPS devicing and no way to do that other than from what's, between your ears and or written on paper or with your caddy, I would also be good with that. That's a very, I think, just kind of traditional outlook on it. And I would also totally subscribe to that mentality. So that's why I'm curious to know, maybe we need somebody from the competition committee to find out what was that tipping point? What was that decision or that conversation like when someone's like, yeah, I really think we should allow them. And then at some point they had probably a healthy discussion about it. And like I said, the rule got rewritten. I'd love to be privy to some of those, some of the logic that was put behind it. And now that that box is open, that can of worms is out.
It will never go away.
Now it will never go away.
And as we said, with everybody having their phone out for UDisc and other things, it would be too hard, I feel, to regulate that, to figure out, because I'm sure there are apps out there where you could, you can put a mark where the basket is, and then beforehand you walk up and like, how far am I from there? Oh, cool. It says I'm 287 feet.
Like UDisc does it right now, right?
I don't believe they do.
I think they do.
I don't think they tell you distance to pin. They sometimes tell you distance to the next to the next tee box. Like after you finish, like when you want to walk to the next hole. Maybe they do, but I don't know if it's to the next pin. Either way, I think that is just too difficult to administer anymore, and it makes sense. It's the right decision. So whatever. But
again, if that is your mentality, I'm good with it. We're now, I think, like we said, that can of worms has been open. That is not going to probably revert back. Technology has just gotten too good and inexpensive and easy to use that there's no way to do it. Because somebody can't do it on your phone. All right, well then, as people are saying, well, your watch, there's going to be an app or a way to be doing that from your watch. I mean, no matter how you do it, there's going to be some inconspicuous way that somebody else is going to be able to go. It won't be long before somebody's flying a drone over the top, and then it has a radio into a golfer's ear that's telling them. I'm just saying. No. Okay.
No, but I mean, truly imagine in 50 years, contacts that just do that.
Sure.
It's just, cool. That lets me mark exactly where I know, how far away it is. It's one of those things where your trust is going to be very important, and we'll see. I don't trust people. So did you get a chance at all? And this is going to be another shameless plug for us. Did you get a chance at all to check out some of the top 5 shots of the day for any of the Ledgestone events?
I did.
Oh, well, okay, good. That's all I care. I don't want your opinion. I don't need it.
Wait. What were they again?
Called the top 5 shots of the day.
Oh, no. So, okay. I was confused. Steve Rico and I did a top 5 shots of the night every night.
Oh, did you?
But I don't think it's the same as what you're referencing. So, no.
You did a bunch of different shots. So, like, what was number 1? Was it like a...
Fireball.
Fireball?
Number 2? Fireball. Number 3, 4, and 5. I just play the game, man. That's all I do. All right, what do you got? Let's see it.
All right, so what I have is, it's something I've been wanting to kind of do for a while. Was this top 5 shots of the game? So this weekend, and even at Idlewild, I put out, after hours, I picked 5 of the best shots every night, and I showed them. And I did a little voiceover for them. But one of the things I also want to do is the 5 maybe worst shots we caught on camera. Yeah, I mean...
Well, how do you define worst, though? Because there's a shank and then there's a rollaway.
It's just bad luck, bad shots, heartbreakers. Anyway, we're calling it the not 5 as opposed to the top 5. I don't think it's anything original. It's just...
The not-so-top 5.
The not-so-top 5. Tyler Brickley, Mr. Disc Golf Comedy, he volunteered, and I haven't had a chance to see this yet. He volunteered to voice the first one.
Great.
I just got it. In between shows, I have it loaded up. He says it's safe for consumption. Do we trust him? I mean,
he did donate $1 in the super chat.
Oh,
earlier.
Well, in that case, we kind of have to trust. I mean, we're obligated. We're financially obligated to show this, to debut.
You send us enough money and we will show stuff you send us.
To debut the not 5 shots of the particular weekend.
All right. I'm excited to see this.
All right, here we go. It's about a minute
audio?
and 30 seconds. We should be able to hear the audio. Here we go.
All right, you've had the top 5 shots from the Ledgestone Insurance Open. Let's have the not 5. Number 5. This one is a guy with a mask, and he has a very bizarre putting stroke. Let's see if it works out. Of course, it does not work out for him. He looks very disappointed. Probably less in the miss and more on just like that's his putting stroke. I mean, honestly, I'd probably wear a mask as well if that was mine. Number 4, Paige Pierce is up and bouncing, and that putter is running away like somebody trying to get out of the bathroom when you've just seen somebody through a crack in the stall. You know, you're like, are they the creepy one or am I? I mean, they were looking at me, but also I was looking at them. Number 3, Kale Visca deep in the woods. Not really much in his way, except he found that little guy. Let's see a follow flight on that one. Poor Kale. Better luck next time, mate. Number 2, Steve Rico, or as I like to call him, my best friend, Steve. Here we go! Which is my best Mario impression, all right? So you get what you pay for and shut up. And number 1, Disc is like a little kid, and the lady's like, will you just sit down and shut up so we can be done already? Kid's like, nah, screw you, Mum. You've been throwing me into trees all day. Wow, that got dark. I'm going to get out of here and I'm going to go, oh, look, here's Aunt Jenny. I'm going to take a turn. Hey, Aunt Jenny, can I come to your house? Aunt Jenny's like, I'm never having kids. Thanks for watching the Not 5 Shots from the Ledgestone Insurance Open. Peace out and see you next time.
Absolutely incredible.
Oh,
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tyler Brickley, for voicing our very first Not 5 Shots of the day. I don't know if he'll be voicing them all, but it was very. I'm honored that he took the time to do that, and even added a follow flight for Kale.
Yeah, well, to be fair, it didn't take him long. I mean, there wasn't a lot of flight.
It did have some circles in it.
Thank you so much, Tyler. Very good. This week and weekend.
I'll be putting that out as a whole separate video too. So if you haven't seen it or you're listening to this in the audio form, take a look at our Facebook page and it will be, or our YouTube page. Sorry, it'll be out there probably if I get to it tomorrow.
So real quickly, on a serious note, I want to huge shout out to Nate Heinold, his entire crew, the staff, the countless volunteers and paid people, staff members that he had. Some people working so many hours, day and night. Literally, people coming from all over the country. I think of people like Michael Munn, along with my boy Jamie. So good to see you, Jamie. Just such an effort to put on the event that they do. And then they have all these additional regulations and guidelines and strict things that had to be followed with regard to COVID. Ledgestone has put itself on the map as ginormous payout, a ton of courses, a ton of players. It's fair to say it's, in a lot of ways, it's GBO-like, and they probably have their own little gentle rivalry even between each other in terms of how big both of their events
Certainly.
are, and rightfully so. They're both tremendous events. And just a huge shout out to Grip Equipment, who was the presenting sponsor, along with Discraft, Ledgestone Insurance, and Nate Heinold, and that entire crew. So I wanted to get all that in there and say it was just incredible, the effort that I know they had to put in, and with this year being so crazy, I didn't envy any of it. And then 4 days, all these courses, all this madness. So I'd be remiss without a quick shout out. Random, but yet quick shout out. Johnny Rumble taking down the Grand Masters division.
Stellar.
Good
Birdie, like
buddy
his last
and friend of ours.
holes to do that?
Yeah,
Congratulations.
So nice work, Johnny Rumble. And Johnny Rumble also graciously, because of some scheduling issues, he filled in. There's an event that I typically run, a children's youth-based event that I help run every single year. I've done it for the last 15 or so years. And Johnny Rumble was able to step in for me on Tuesday, because otherwise that would have meant I came back from Kentucky to turn around and go right back down to Peoria. And he stepped in and did that. And maybe there's some good karma payoff. Not that he needs any, but
he doesn't.
That was a great
any.
karma payoff for him to take down the win and his largest payday ever in disc golf.
Really?
Yeah, $900 and something or other dollars. Not too
very
not too
nice.
shabby for throwing the old frisbees around.
Very, very nice.
Ryan, one of our favorite Smashies, I did not see you at any point this week. Dare I ask, were you there? I'm guessing you were somewhere. This event, like I said, and I guess I will mention it. There are over 1,000 people, and yet over 1,000 people that I didn't see. That you either know that I could literally be neighbors with someone here in Wisconsin and then not see them at any point during the week. You just have so many people on so many courses. Our workload was a little bit intensified this week. We, in having the live FPO stream at sunset, as Kat mentioned, and then you had a very short break. Then you turn around and go to either Northwood or out to the Lake Eureka course, and then you're on that course from 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. or 3 to 7:30 or 8 or 8:30 or whatever the case might be. It made for some very, very long days. So shout out to all the Disc Golf Pro Tour cameramen as well that worked the hardest they've had to work all year in order to make everything happen the way that they did. So pretty crazy weekend.
We have 2 giveaways this week, Terry.
Yeah, we do.
Because I neglected to give anything away last week. You bailed out before the after show, and then the after show was more or less an hour and a half of me talking about video games with people.
Oh, wow. That sounds
riveting. It was
so amazing. I'll have to go back and not watch that.
Please do go back and listen to me talk smack about some and how bad I am at others.
Wow.
It was a good time.
Terrible.
Got to touch on things we don't normally talk about here with the community. But one of those items this week that we're going to give away is a disc member box.
Sweet.
Disc member who supports us monthly with giving away one of these disc member boxes. If you don't know about disc member, please go out and check them out at their website. It's your kind of typical monthly box program, but this one obviously is dedicated to disc golfers or ultimate players if you want to sign up for that. I think there's a couple different versions, but I believe it's $25 for this one a month, and you get at least a minimum of $40 worth of product in it. Let them know that SmashBoxxTV sent you, and we can just let them know that you appreciate them if you happen to sign up for the disc member disc in a box.
Yes, get some of those goodies. We very much, as Johnny just said, we very much appreciate all of their support. And we love turning around and just sending it to you.
Sending it to you. So we're going to start with that one. That's the first one we're going to give away. And then the second one, Terry, I figure we're just going to, take something right out of your personal stash.
Yeah, I mean, I picked up a pair of the black St. Jude discs with certificate of authenticity. The Midnight Fierce and the Midnight Luna. You're not getting those. Those were $250 a set, so you're not getting one of those.
Is that what they retailed for?
Yes, that's exact.
Wow.
Yeah. Proceeds of course, going to St. Jude. I think that was a large catalyst in helping get to that $60,000 mark.
Phenomenal.
And I couldn't be happier to pay an absurd collector price for all of the right reasons.
Have you seen them turned around at all yet?
I saw someone offering up a set.
And what were they going for? So you bought them for $250. What were people?
Yeah, I think I saw in one of the sets somebody was offering up their set of them for $500. I heard of higher numbers that were being offered, and it may be one of those things where it's tough to tell if or when that secondary market will tap into them. That's what I'm gonna.
Okay.
I'm kind of interested to see myself. I felt like they were just great items to have to support the right cause and all the best cause. If I ever sell any, that's one thing. Or if I hold on to them, I'm totally good with that as well. They're certainly a very, I'd say, coveted and limited collector type item. And 200 sets were made, and it's a set of 2 discs. They are a Midnight Luna and a Midnight Fierce with a really cool gold stamp of either Paige Pierce's stamp or Paul Macbeth's logo on them. So,
Christian Carry On, we'll get to your question in just a minute, and thank you for the $5 super chat. But first, I do want to give our prizes away. So
Let's do it.
193 people are eligible for the SmashBoxxTV weekly giveaway. You can be eligible by going to patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV and helping support us in our independent media.
Wait, we're not run by somebody?
No, we're not.
We should be.
We
Can we
should-
sell out?
There's actually literally like a man behind this curtain behind us that is supporting us. He's very quiet and he just throws money at us.
I feel like we should sell out.
We will. Don't worry, Terry. I'm sure Google will buy us. Just wait.
Hmm.
So 193 people are eligible for this. And is there anything specific you would like to?
So this is not the disc in a box or the
first
disc
one
member?
is a disc in a
Okay,
box.
first one's disc member box.
Disc member box. First
All right,
one.
we're gonna go with. It was Ricky's first time winning this, so the very first number
Very
generated.
first number generated is 96.
How'd you sort them, Johnny? This is
My
almost
first name.
exactly the halfway point.
I sorted my first name this week, and 96 is it looks like Keith Allen. Congratulations to Keith Allen. All right. Keith Allen. So awesome. And we have one more. Let's just do it right away.
Let's do it.
Just the very next one.
Yeah, sure. The next number you pull, holy cow.
All right. This will just be something out of Terry's stash somewhere, somehow, something. It's number 192, so it's towards the bottom.
Oh, exactly double.
It is.
It
Zach
was
Webb.
Oh, my gosh.
Zach Webb.
Zach Webb.
So thank you, Mr. Zach Webb. Relatively new. No, but probably about a year. He's been around for about a year. So thank you, Zach Webb. Much appreciated for your support.
All right. As I'm putting a note in the board to timestamp, which won't do me any good. We'll need you to. Okay.
I will still send that information.
So
as I always
once
do.
Johnny and if you're either of those people, please make sure you double check your email. We may need to just verify that we have your correct mailing address so that I can get this sweet action sent out to you.
Christian Carrion says, should the PDGA be less strict with disc size and flexibility of materials to allow more manufacturers to develop faster and farther flying molds?
Ooh, no.
I'm going to go with no as well. I think that we have these restrictions in place for safety, primarily, and that is probably a good thing. And on top of that, like, do we really want even further flying discs? And you can always say that because people will say yes.
Yeah.
You probably could have said that with the Viper. Like, wow,
Sure.
the Viper, somebody could throw that thing 420 feet. Like, that's a crush. Do we want anything that goes further than that? The answer is always yes. I know, right now we're talking, our guys are throwing regularly 500, 550, some of them might even get to 600 on a course. You don't see it very often, but it could happen. And distance competitions, I'm not even thinking about. I'm just thinking pure golf shots. I don't know. Now, here's a question for you, Terry. Say there's a material that is safer, more flexible. If it hit you, it would not hurt you.
Mm-hmm.
And you could use that, and maybe we'll say, would you be in favor of adjusting the specs?
The size regulations in terms of making them bigger?
Bigger, smaller, whatever makes them fly further. We'll say. If you could say, because I kind of feel like right now we're limited, they do a flex test. They do, there's a certain bluntness they have to be, a thickness, there's the rim width, all that other stuff. But, and I like I said, I'm assuming most of that is for safety reasons. Most of it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you could tell me, hey, guess what? We have this this super soft, I don't say fabric, but material that you could throw at somebody as hard as you want, and it's not going to hurt them. And we can make discs out of this, and these discs are going to fly 500, 600, 700, 800 feet with some of these guys. Would you be in favor of doing that?
No.
No?
No, I feel like maybe I'll go back to that whole traditionalist conversation, but you have to have a set of rules and standards and guidelines, and to negate everything else that's been followed for all these years, to be in favor of just making something fly faster, longer, farther, whatever. I just, it doesn't make sense to me. I wouldn't want to see. All of our technology has been based on the standards and the rules and the guidelines that have been largely in place for the last 20 or 30 years from the Technical Standards Committee. And that's like saying, well, if the NBA found, if there was a study shown that if the NBA reduced the ball size by 6 centimeters, maybe that's a lot, by 2 centimeters, 2.12, is that an inch, or 2.32, whatever. Okay. If they reduced it by some negligible amount, we're going to see, more three-pointers made from a longer distance and higher score. We're going to get all these added benefits from it. Maybe that's a bad analogy. I don't know. But the point is, no, just to see a disc fly farther, we're going to ignore all the guidelines and the standards that have been enforced for the last 25 or 30 years. I'm not a fan of that.
I'm with you.
That just does not doing it. It just doesn't do it for me. I mean, we can adjust how courses are designed, where baskets are, either placed and or rules and some of those things, some of which I would or wouldn't agree with as well. But I think to negate the previous 500 molds that exist right now, and negate's maybe not the right word, but to somewhat, I don't want to say
them obsolete.
Yeah, somewhat.
I don't have a problem with that personally, because as technology changes, things become obsolete. Baseball bats are better. They come up. It's different types of wood. They're stronger. They've got different cores in them. Whatever.
They make better golf balls. They make better drivers than they did 50 years ago. Exactly. I get all of that. So different materials. I get all of that. But how many of those has the ball size changed that much? And again, golf has 400 years of history, so I'm sure it has at one time or another. I'd love to know when the last time is, though, that they changed the size of a golf ball, or they changed the regulations with regards to the clubs.
Golf club. I mean,
yeah, I'd love to know when they last changed those regulations. Mm-hmm. I guess it depends, and what are you trying to accomplish with it?
If you said that, guess what? Your golf club still had to use, and I don't know if there was ever a rule on it in golf, but still had to be a wooden stick as opposed to a carbon fiber.
Sure.
We know people cannot hit nearly as far with something like that. Specs change, things change. If in 5 years or 10 years they said, hey, guess what? We're going to adjust the spec so that our players can throw farther, throw farther. And I guess I would be okay with that, assuming that the safety precautions are in place. That's truly what I think. But one comment, Bon Mi on our chat boards asked if we have been losing Patreon supporters.
Yeah, I said people don't like us.
No,
I blame you.
The answer is no. There is an option to sign up for our weekly giveaway on our website, smashboxxtv/weekly winner or weekly winners. I forget the actual thing. And we haven't actually been pushing or promoting that very often. So I used to bring in, 10 or 15 of those and throw them in there and add them in there. But I haven't talked about it, so there hasn't really been it. And I don't think there's a link on the website. I think you literally just need to know the path. So if you want to go out there, sign up. I will add your name every week to that, because I do feel like we want to share the love. Of course, our Patreon supporters are automatically entered, and they don't have to go above.
What? They don't have to do anything? They're just automatically entered into a free giveaway every week, just by being a Patreon subscriber at as low as $1
every month. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that seems too good to be true. Why wouldn't you be doing that?
I don't know, but especially for arguably the Patreon in disc golf that has the best perks. I'm just saying, like,
free stuff.
Lots of free stuff at
every
different
week.
levels. Anyway, so
you just have to be breathing, and you have a chance to win.
Right. You can go out and sign up for that, and
I guess you don't even have to be breathing. You could set up a Patreon.
You could be on a respirator if it'd be, and have something helping you breathe.
Or okay, I'm not going to get any more morbid.
I figured I would kill that with that.
Yeah,
Perfect.
No, okay,
that's great. Anyway.
You're really deep in. What are you reading?
I was reading some of the discussions between Christian Carrion talking about if specs will change if money comes in from new manufacturers. Possibly. I mean, money can definitely.
Sure.
change
Okay.
lots
So
of stuff.
let's take
So-
this one other quick side note and say Nike comes in tomorrow and says, "Hey, we have a special blend of Nike plastic, and here's our rules, here's our guidelines, blah blah. We want to get involved. Here's 50 million we're ready to dump into this sport, but we want to be able to make them 1 inch bigger, discs 1 inch bigger. We'll just throw out that number, 1 inch bigger." But they still adhere to a certain set of guidelines and rules and restrictions. They just want them expanded by this total of 1 inch, and they've proven to be safer. They don't hurt as much if you did get hit, everything you were just saying. Could that happen?
Sure.
Could. Nike could try and start their own entire disc golf world, though. Nike could say, we don't care about the PDGA guidelines. We don't care about the National Tour and the Pro Tour, and we don't care about any of that. We're creating Nike disc golf from scratch, and then have their own rules and regulations and guidelines. Would that pick up? Would that take off? Who knows? But at that point, clearly they could be doing whatever they want. So
It could happen. I mean, there's no doubt. Someone asked on the board if the players are obligated to weigh their discs before tournaments. No, the only event that's really ever done that has been the Japan Open that I'm aware of on a regular basis, because that had a 159, I believe it was last time when I went there, 159 gram restriction. So you had to make sure, and they would stamp them and initial them to make sure that you were under that. But no, they don't have any sort of restrictions or requirements right now. Sam Doyle asks, do you have advice for a new media team that is covering a small area, not doing shot-by-shot coverage, more of a documentary of events? I would say the same thing I say about podcasts, YouTube, everything. Regularity, consistency. Try to put things out as regular as you can. If it's if you have to break it up into like a 5-part series about one event even, just try to get people to go to make it a habit for them. And you have to do it for at least, I would say, like 2 months. Whether it's just as long as people know what you're doing. If it's weekly, if it's bi-weekly, that's fine. Just make sure you're consistent. I kind of feel like the quality almost doesn't matter at first. Of course, you want it to be as high quality as you can get, but if you have good content and consistency, I think it'll eventually start to pay off. You'll eventually see people starting to show up, and it's going to be slow and it's going to be arduous. You have to be if you're committed and dedicated, eventually people will show up, and probably more than
maybe they might not.
They might not. I mean, people might not have any interest in a disc golf documentary behind the scenes of events, or maybe they will. I would say if you're going to do it, just dedicate yourself some time and do it. Maybe record a whole bunch ahead of time and release them consistently throughout the winter, and that might give you an idea. But then you could always also make the argument like, well, disc golf's not in full swing, so people's attentions are drawn elsewhere. Maybe it's not the right time. There's always going to be excuses, but the hardest step is the first one.
Yeah, well, and I feel like it's easy for people to get very sidetracked or to feel, what's the word? Like you're not gaining a lot of traction right away and necessarily getting fully embraced and or viewed or engaging right away. That's because it's becoming a busier and busier environment, and you're going to have to do your best. And now what I think you have to really, more than anything, and this is a little bit of a generic tip, is I feel like you have to be dedicated to whatever it is that you want to do, and you're going to do it regardless of the response you get. Mm-hmm. Because if you're really passionate about a documentary style or a recap style or a shot by shot or a highlight, whatever the case might be, you have to realize that not everyone else is going to like that, and you have to be okay with that, and you have to just keep doing what makes you the most happy. Not saying you can never change your style or your format, but realize that what you think is great and that what you want out there may or may not be well received, and you have to decide if you're going to care about that. Are you making this as a project for yourself that you hope grows into something, or are you solely trying to find something that people are dying to have, and you're going to keep shifting until you find it? I think you have to be dedicated or true to yourself as to what you're looking after, because I cannot say this enough. I am still blown away that shot-by-shot coverage rules our disc golf media. I'm not gonna say I'm just shocked by it. I am wildly shocked that the most viewed things in our sport, and I make this content, for crying out loud, sometimes I make shot-by-shot coverage, and I'm going to continue to make it and expand and grow in it and make even more of it. It still blows my mind, though, that people want to watch a full 35 or 45-minute round of 9 holes, including every effing stupid shot. Like, why you care about a 4-foot tap-in, or why some people care about a wide-open 100-foot approach. Yeah. To me, if it were up to me, which to some degree it is, but if it were 100% up to me, I would never include some of that stuff. I don't understand it. But
you're saying it would probably look a little bit more like something you maybe would see on a CBS Sports.
Maybe. Yeah. I mean,
I had to take a pretty educated guess.
If 4 men or women take 4 pars in the most boring ways on a hole, maybe that hole could have gotten skipped. Now, if somebody takes a 9 and someone takes a 3, and there was a miraculous shot or a skip off the basket that otherwise would have eagled, different story. But I hate to say it, I am shocked that all of these years later, our number one most consumed disc golf coverage by any of the companies turns out to be every single shot. I don't get it, but I'm okay with it. I don't personally understand it. I make it. I still don't understand it. So.
And Sam Doyle asked if he could do a little promotion. I said, of course.
Send us a bunch of money. We promote the heck out of you. That's
the
how
Disc
this
Golf
works.
Ledger. So if you're interested in something like that, he's got a little 15-minute documentary. Go ahead, check it out. If you're a disc golf fan and are looking for something other than some shot-by-shot coverage, give him some suggestions on what he would and wouldn't, or what you would and would not like to see.
There is a ton of great disc golf content out there that's got almost no views.
Yeah.
And that breaks my heart. And it is what it is, and there's only so much I can personally do about it, but there's a ton of it. And I feel like there's a ton of people that have the creative drive or the creative vision to do stuff, but then quickly get discouraged because nobody watches it. And that also breaks my heart because I lack in the creativity department. So when I see this other amazing content, I always think, wow, like I wish I would have thought of that, or I would have done something like that. But then it gets no views and people are like, oh, I don't, nobody's watching it, or it's just easy to give up on it because you don't feel validated. And that's the thing, is views shouldn't validate you, but it's hard. It's easy to say that and harder to do that. So.
I think it was Kyle up a little bit. Kyle Miller says, JVD, I was a huge fan of the dogs that made the broadcast this week. Also speaking as a live broadcast director. Oh, I didn't realize that, Kyle. Well, the shows have been looking great. Good use of all assets to keep the show flowing well. As always, I give 110% of that kudos to Mo. He is... and this weekend was particularly tough. As you know, with 2 broadcasts, we start at, the broadcast starts at 9 a.m. and went some nights until 8 or 8:30. What he does from 9 until like 1 a.m. is build graphics and gets these interviews and cuts them up and makes these graphics. Plus he's doing the social on the side. The dude's a machine and working harder than anybody probably should be, but he's doing a lot of that stuff. And we even gave him a hard time, as we always do, and Mo, love Mo, but he doesn't always take to jokes very well when they're at his expense. the cameraman made it a point at some point to start showing every dog we saw because Mo got so excited at seeing some dogs. And so I think it became kind of a little internal joke that whenever there was a dog within camera view, it went on and Mo saw it. And we did. We used it as a lot for some filler to go to commercials as opposed to like the aerials or the scenics that we have. So that a lot of that is Mo. If it were me, I probably wouldn't show any animals on our broadcast. In general, I just wouldn't think of it. Mo thinks of a lot of that stuff. Some of the stuff that he does, it's stuff we've wanted to do for a long time and just haven't had the resources. But he is bringing definitely a different perspective to the shows, and I'm enjoying it quite a bit. And this is the first weekend where we really didn't have a disagreement. Like on what we should or shouldn't show. Like I'm like, I don't want to show that. He does. There's a little struggle. One thing I wanted to bring up, and I made a Smashbox post about this, is there was an article I read that last weekend's PGA Championship on ESPN and I think CBS had the most shots per minute of any golf event in the last 6 or 7 years or something. They averaged 1.67 shots per minute.
Okay.
And in the article, it mentioned that the 2019, so last year's PGA Championship, had 1.14 shots per minute. So, the argument was there probably wasn't spectators, so there's a little less to see. There's no reactions from people, so there was a lot more bouncing. I looked at our broadcast because it just made me think. I was like, what are we doing? Like, some of the arguments for our live production is how long and drawn out and boring it is. People don't want to see people walk up fairways or shaky cam or anything like that, which there's a lot less of for all you that know that I watch. So I added up all of the lead card shots because I think we barely missed any this weekend for MPO. I only did our final round MPO. I took the 3.5 hour broadcast time, which is from the minute we started till the minute the bevel started. I don't count the bevel. And I think I recall getting about 1.1 or 1.1 or 1.14 or something like that shots per minute. So we averaged what a lot of golf broadcasts average, because I added all those up, plus I added in about 20 or 30 extra shots that we show from other players, and maybe I undersold that, maybe I oversold it. It's hard to think. I did not go and count every shot. I definitely did not take that time. But we are kind of on average with pretty close to what the PGA is showing in shots per minute. Now ours is a little different in that we have 4 cameras. We are really dedicated to our lead card, and we use other cards as filler. Like on Sunday, we used Chris Dickerson because he was lighting it up.
Mm-hmm.
They spread out theirs way more. They have a longer broadcast usually. Theirs is anywhere from like a 4 to 5 hour broadcast, spanning, I believe, maybe 1 or 2 channels. They cover more cards. They have more cameras, and they cover more people. I think they said the PGA covered like 27 different golfers. I bet you we got 13 different golfers for the most part. And usually those extra golfers are when there's a backup. So, hey, look, we're stuck at hole 13. Let's show the next card their drives and follow them. But for some of the people who have complained in the past that we're slower than golf or we're showing less shots, we're really not anymore. Or I don't know if we ever truly were. It is just a different style than what golf is. So
yeah, and I think
just a thought.
And I think that's really interesting data, and maybe more so, it's also a little bit crazy to think, like you mentioned, they had been able to show 27 different golfers. Mm-hmm. They literally have potentially 10 times the cameras we have.
Oh, yeah, dozens. And especially for the PGA Championships where they probably have 50, 60 cameras out there.
And so
3 or 4 per hole at least.
Yeah, as Jim says, we got to show 30 on one hole because of the backup. Okay, so barring them.
Maybe more than that on hole 15 the day
and just think I guess we did cut away to other golf. I was going to say if we didn't have backups, we'd probably been, the broadcast itself would have been shorter, hence bringing down our overall average, even though we saw some golf during the backups. But anyway, point being, and this is not a pat on the back, but the point is, we're looking at 4 cameras. That's expanded. It at one point was 1, then got to 2, and eventually 3, and now we're at the most in 4. Just to have those options and those opportunities to have a comparison to what a multi-billion-dollar organization is doing, I think is really interesting. That we're on par with some of those numbers, good, bad, or indifferent. We're at least somewhat on par with some of those numbers, and I can't stress this enough. And this isn't really a complaint, but I know the number one thing people say is, and have said for 5 years, 6 years, oh, it'll be better when there's more cameras. When there's more cameras. When there's more cameras. Everybody has said that, and we've agreed with it. And now we've continued to grow from 1 up to 4 cameras. There are still times when we have 3 different camera people.
And there's nothing to show.
And there's still nothing to show. And that's just 3. That's not all 18 holes being covered. That's 3 of 18 holes. There have been times, because I'm obviously in the field, I'll know I'll just make up a number and say, we've got 2 cameras are watching hole 2, 1 camera's on hole 3, and 1 camera's on hole 4, and they might all be in front of me. And I'll hear the Johnny and Mo and people in my ear, and I'll hear all these things going on. And literally, I can look and see there's 0 people throwing. All 3 of those cards are moving down the fairway at the exact same time. Now, again, if we had 18 sets of cameras, clearly that's even less likely numbers-wise. But the point is, there are still times, even with 3 different cards that have a camera on them, there can still, just the numbers and the math and the chances work out that way, that there is 0 golf being shown. So it still makes me chuckle when I see a complaint or someone saying, show more golf, we don't want to watch this. And it's like, sometimes there's not golf to show. So it's just kind of funny how that can even still play out to this day.
Kyle says
with all these cameras.
More cameras isn't really the answer. It's just how those cameras are used and how the director cuts between them. 100%, because I just think, I don't know how much more golf we can show. I was thinking about this, like, go back and watch the broadcast. Yes, there is downtime. Yes, we have assets to fill that. Could we fill every single second with golf shots, just shot after shot after shot? It would be a little confusing. Even our commentators at one point early in the round, when we were bouncing pretty quick, they're like, whoa, we need to slow down because we're starting to lose track. Like, it's just, you're whipping too fast, and people are, I don't think people are going to be able to handle it. And of course, PGA are able to bank a bunch of shots. Most of what we show is live. You know, we do have the ability now to go back and say, hey, just a second ago, because we're able to kind of do that. But it is, I'm scared because I know we're going to get more cameras, and, you know, I love having 3 cameras on 1 card, being able to split up the cameras so when people are spread out on fairways, so we don't have guys running, so I can get those really great reaction shots when somebody throws in the water and they put their hands down and, you know, they're crouched on the ground. When you only have 2 cameras, that other camera has to move right away, so they can't hang out and get that really awesome dramatic shot, which I feel really separates us from a lot of the other stuff. So we're moving that way. We're getting there, but it is crazy. So Kyle, it is fun to know that you feel our pain as a live director, apparently.
Yeah.
So
Nova's asking about seeing Cat. Cat was juggling some of the golf balls that were found on the second to last hole of the tournament. So hole 17 is where that was happening, if you ever want to go back and look for it. Someone was also asking, when someone like KJ has been mic'd up, where's that audio going? And that is going directly to one of the Jomez cameras. I believe they're doing some kind of additional release or something that involves Kevin's audio.
Might be a Patreon release for them.
Exactly. I can't say I know anything about exactly how that's rolled out or what is a part of that and what is not. The conversation has been had among the Disc Golf Pro Tour people as to the concept of miking up players, and and to that point, if that were to ever happen in a live capacity, right now, clearly, as Jomez has been doing this, Central Coast, I know, mic'd up Paul McBeth many years ago. I've kind of done something in that nature at one time or another with some players. In order for there to be a feed that has live conversation, it would be potentially dangerous since we have really no
filter
or censored break or delay. And secondly, it would require a minimum of one additional audio only person to then monitor that. And truth be told, you couldn't just open up a live feed to any player. I don't care how man or woman.
No. Here's the thing.
Wholesome or otherwise, you can't have a straight live audio unfiltered feed.
I'm going to just flat out say it. Imagine Nico mic'd up live. The horn. Imagine being able to hear Nico.
He's an extreme.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Like, imagine that. We need somebody, but because he is the example, someone like him, not him particularly right now, but even though everyone has heard it on the post-production, Nico doesn't necessarily hold back with what he's saying if he's frustrated. Yes, it's great and it's emotional and, he's passionate, but we don't necessarily want that live on the broadcast at times. If we don't want to hear what another player is saying about another player, or what a caddy might be saying to a spectator, or it's sometimes we do. Sometimes we get in there and we say we're turning up the audio, and we get to hear the guys chat about like what they're having for dinner or something like that, or talk about their discs and things like that, and that's cool stuff. But every time we do it, I pucker up a little bit inside and I go, please don't say something bad. Please don't say something that's going to hurt your fan base. That's going to make you look bad, because I don't want that responsibility. I don't want players to be to think that falls on the Pro Tour or to Smashbox or to anything. I want them to feel open and comfortable. But things are said,
and
that's what we're scared of. And unless we have another person that can sit and filter it before we just flat out put a lot of that out, it's just not going to happen. And it will. We're still going to put some of that out. We're still going to sit at tee boxes at times and push up the audio. And hopefully the players realize that there's cameras everywhere, that you don't know when they're recording and you don't know what is being said, or you don't know what is being stored. So that hopefully if they were ever to say something, that they are filtering themselves. Now, I would hope that most of the players don't have to filter themselves, because they never, ever say anything horrible. Like, I can't imagine someone like a Heather Young ever being a bad person.
Exactly. And that was my point, is even if you took the opposite of your example and then went to, say, a Heather Young, there's still a potential privacy issue to some degree. There's still some other things that she may not want public, where you cannot just have an open airway of live, unfiltered, mic'd up on a particular player. So although the idea and the concept might sound great to a lot of people, and I'm not saying it doesn't sound great, just realize that is a minimum of some additional cost and expense, but then one person 100% dedicated to then monitoring and or releasing any of that audio. And I'm not saying we're not going to get there, but just keep that in mind. I don't care if it's Nico or Heather Young or anyone in between. There's more implications than just simply entertaining you people at home. All right? I know that's what you want.
Trust, and I'm with you. I love hearing some of that stuff. I love hearing some of the players complain or talk smack about another player when they don't think anyone's around, or things like that. But there's a look we need to have and maintain. And we're not, as we always joke about, like here on Smashbox, we're not regulated by the FCC. If some swear words fall out, no one cares. Like, that's just life. It's not the what we want on the DGN or Disc Golf Pro Tour or YouTube, but we know it's going to happen. It's live sports. It's there's a budget we fall into, such a sensitive subject.
Well,
Which is why it's really cool that someone like Jomez can do it, because they're going to be able to go back after the fact, and if Kevin Jones says something crazy, they can just edit it out.
And here's what I'm going to say: you've touched on it, and so has the board. It's not just profanities, people. Like, there are so many other conversations that happen on the course that are just genuinely not meant for public consumption. Mm-hmm. You're playing with your friends, you're playing with your enemies. There's a lot of things that are going on out on those courses for 2.5, 3.5, or 4 hour rounds. So I understand profanity, as funny as it is for me to even say right now, profanity is not my main concern. There's a lot of other conversations out there. And I have a fine line. I have a fine line of when I'm around these players, and then I'm going to give you a check-in as to what is or isn't repeatable as well. And I'm not out to betray anyone's trust or to say things that I feel like then paint anyone in a negative light that shouldn't be said or shouldn't be relayed. In fact, there was a specific time, let me tell you. But seriously, there was a specific time where Kevin Jones was talking about something. It is, in my opinion, 100% harmless, but he was talking about something. And just to be super safe, at the last second, I said to him, "Are you okay if I repeat that?" And he said, "Yeah, go ahead. I don't care." But there's even been a few, and I have to be careful because I do wear this hat of being friends or friendly with some of these people. Some of them I'm good friends with off the course. Some of them I'm not. So I have a journalistic duty, but yet I'm not there to be a spy or a narc. Like, there's a lot of fine lines there that need to be carried. And I have to decide, what's appropriate and what's not to some degree as well. I'll act as a censor in some regards too, because clearly I'm not repeating everything that gets said.
And I truly think at some point we will get there. Like, we will have someone that'll be able to sit, and the technical name is an A1. It's like Audio Guy 1 or something. That will be able to sit there and monitor that stuff for us, and they'll be able to adjust levels. Like, I feel like Jamie is a little louder than Val, or we can have a camera on the lead card that just sits there and isn't like dying to find action for us to film. That they can just say, "Oh, cool, we're just going to sit here and wait for the lead card, and we're going to film, Kevin and Ricky and Yuli talking about their ball golf game, and who lost what money and this and that." And then at some point record it and play it back in a couple minutes, like as they're walking down the fairway, like, "Oh, check out this from just a couple minutes ago when they were talking about, Yuli losing $280,000 on the golf course or something." We'll get there. I would wait a couple of years. I don't see it in the very near future, but it's all cool stuff. And if odds are, if you've thought about it, that you would like to see it, we've thought about it as well. and there are reasons why we do or don't have it. But if you think about something and you really want to see it, reach out to the Pro Tour, reach out to us. We talk all the time, and we're always looking to make the broadcasts better. That's my main goal, is just whatever I can do to make our broadcasts better.
I saw a little bit earlier, some people were talking about check-ins and or me with a microphone. I think Dion Arlen also came in with something about an analyst from out on the course to give you more insights. And the one thing I'll just say that I try to, and this has been a conversation among us, I try to give you the things that you are not seeing with your own two eyes. I made that mistake earlier in the year where I kind of, even though it was interesting to me, I kind of recap something that had just happened, and the response was, "Well, we just saw that." Like, okay, well, I was trying to elaborate on it and maybe expound upon it, but I try very hard to give you, whether it's a sight or a sound or an action or an environment or a feeling or a vibe. Those are the types of things that I'm challenging myself to think of, to then share with the viewers at home, and maybe even equally as important, share with the two people in the booth that aren't physically there. I think it would be a little bit different if we were still walking along with the group, or if even of our two booth commentators were sometimes on location and sitting outside the green of hole 18, which they're not doing ever anymore because we're always in Bend. So that's where my role, I feel like, is. So I also try not to be, I don't want to say too analytical, but there's certain things that I know or assume the booth is talking about, just in general. So I try not to touch on what those subjects might be as well. Right, wrong, or indifferent, that's what I'm attempting to give you guys. And I say it all the time. If there's something that I'm not hitting on or something you'd really like to know, I'm always open to ideas and suggestions, because sometimes play's just happening. There's not a lot going on in the group, and I'll be like, I don't have a lot to report on that I feel like is genuinely insightful. And sometimes I struggle more than others. Maybe you can tell when those are. Maybe you can't, but I certainly sometimes struggle with giving you something remotely insightful from out on the on the course.
Maybe I can't tell. When are you not struggling then? No, someone says
Jerk
that we'd
face.
love to have 18 Terrys out out on the course.
Oh, gosh.
First of all, no. Second of all, I think that would be a little overkill. I would just like to have, I think for FPO you can get away with 2, and for MPO probably 3. You kind of station them with, like, I would love it if we had someone take, like a Dickerson was going off on Sunday. If we had someone like Terry with Dickerson, and then we could check in with him, so we have that, and then Terry gets to stay with the lead card, and then we have, somebody else, because maybe somebody else is shooting well, and we can't have a camera break off all the time. I think 3 right now would be a really cool number to have for that. And for FPO, it's 2, because for the most part, and I know people are going to hate to hear it, most people don't care what 12th place is doing, what 15th place is doing. Now, there could be a cool little story we get out of it, like, oh, no offense. Oh, Eric Oakley, who's in like 15th place right now, he just had a disc skip off a tree, through the water, up a hill, a snake grabbed it, ran. There could be a really cool story there. But it's like, when do you squeeze that in? And without a lot of video evidence of it, it is just a story that's going to get shared. I have been a big proponent of, our guys going to some of these cards that are shooting a little bit better with Instagram. I want to treat social media, the Instagram, the Snapchats, the TikToks, whatever you want to do, as supplemental. If you're going to push your brand right now, social's a big part of it. Go see the things you can't see on camera. And I know you are you do some of that, Terry, and you are stuck with our lead card, so I know you're getting a lot of the lead card stuff. And that's great for people who maybe can't watch live. I would so much rather see behind the scenes stuff. I would so much rather you get second, third, fourth card information, even though we need you for check-ins on the lead card. But I would rather see that than just repeating what we see on the broadcast. I want to get those cool shots, the cool rollaways that we might see on the second card that we're never going to be able to catch or have time to show. That's just me personally. I don't know what the mass of people want, because whatever the Pro Tour is doing right now, they're knocking it out of the park because all their social medias are doing really well.
Well, and I'll follow that up and say there's times where maybe it's a turn or it's a point or it's a backup, and I may meander over to the third or the second card, and I'll find myself, because maybe they're playing, maybe there's a big backup, so I'll just walk ahead and go catch up with the third card that's actually playing the hole, or the chase card, or whatever it might be, and then I'll try and capture something from there. For those who don't know, almost every single round, every single event this year, I have then essentially taken over or been part of, the main contributor is the best way to word that, to the Disc Golf Pro Tours stories on Instagram. Okay, so if you're seeing anything from the Disc Golf Pro Tour stories on their Instagram, that's generally me. Occasionally it's been Jeff Spring. He may, pick up where I may walk off or something like that from time to time, or we may delegate and he say, I'll get this card, you go get that card. But for the most part, that's what I'm doing. And so I love the idea of being like, oh, Sarah Holcomb's on the chase card. She's currently shooting hot. I'm going to go see what the vibe and the tone is on that card. There again, there's basically that FOMO mentality of, all right, well, now I'm going to follow Sarah for 3 holes, see kind of what's going on. What's her story? Maybe I can report back. Meanwhile, Katrina Allen nearly aces, and like you said, a bear picked up a disc, and all this other crazy stuff happened. It's like as soon as I walk off to one hole, I of course always have this hesitation of like, well, wait, they're watching something else. Am I going to miss something that happened there? What if there's this crazy rules call and I'm 3 holes away and I can't provide any of the insight? So I even have a little bit of that hesitation of like, where am I? Should there be more of me? You know, that kind of thing. So those are some of the things that are going on out there on the course as I'm trying to consume as much as I can. And then I still struggle with, okay, well, yeah, Sarah Hokum is doing this. She's on the 3rd card. I have these 5 or 3 thoughts about what's happening, and then I catch back up with the cameras 2 holes later, and is that still relevant, or was there something more important that just happened on the lead card that I should then focus my attention to? So there's just those are all the things that are going on, and I just want to kind of vocalize some of that with you guys to know that's what's happening behind the scenes out there, and it's all kind of crazy. It's fun. It's just a little bit crazy.
DNS, doesn't the DGPT have a media coordinator? Any chance they can farm that work out so you don't have to pull double duty, Tare? Yeah, Mo is the media manager, media coordinator. I'm not exactly sure, but he basically kind of runs a lot of the media. And he delegates, or I don't want to say delegates because that makes it sound, him and Seth split some of the duties that are required, Seth Fenley. And I maybe in different times, I think if you wanted to volunteer to be, the Instagram guy or gal for the Disc Golf Pro Tour, I would think that if you were a trusted person, that they would have no problem, like a Dion or something. Say, hey, I got nothing to do. I wouldn't mind following the 2nd card and doing some Instagram for them. I bet you they would happily take you up on that offer. I don't think they're going to just give it to Joe Blow, who they don't know or who has 0 history, because there's a trust factor, of course.
Yeah, you got to be able to log into their account and interact as.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're interested in something like that and you happen to be in an area like a Maple Hill or a GMC, reach out to Mo, reach out to Seth. I bet something could be worked out for that. But I think enough about media. Ray had just said Seth does it all. I'll just say, and I know I just replied online. Seth Fenley was the primary Instagram aficionado and in charge of that largely for the last 2 or 3 years. And Seth has taken on some other roles where he is essentially busy, sun up to sundown and then some. So a lot of the Instagram stuff for the Pro Tour, like I said, the stories are largely me, maybe 75 or 80% me, 20% Jeff Spring, and then an actual Instagram post that gets put on the Instagram pages come directly from Mo. So as much as Seth used to do all of that stuff, that some of those roles and things have transitioned over to other people. So it's kind of crazy. Ethan asks, C-tier coverage published by the DGPT or Jomez. Thoughts? I'm not sure what you're referring to, but that always is going to come down to dollars and cents at this point. When you're someone of the scale and magnitude that a Jomez is, I don't foresee them or the Pro Tour taking on coverage of C tiers. It would have just to because of the financial undertaking that they. It would have to be some pretty heavy hitters at that C tier to do that, and C tiers, B tiers, maybe even A tiers. Those are really great stomping grounds for
up and coming
media
thriving,
crews.
Growing.
And they're not going to get nearly the views, but it's you start somewhere. Like the top 5 things I looked, they're averaging about 2,000 views each, which compared to Central Coast and Jomez, who are getting 80,000 for full round coverage or 150,000 for full round coverage, is nothing. I mean. But it's one of those things that I enjoy doing, and I kind of want to see. It's content that's not currently out there that I think could be, and it helps legitimize us, and it helps show some of the really cool shots that are out there for that maybe you would miss if you weren't watching the DGN. So, and Samuel says that's what his content is all about.
There you go, perfect.
Someone asked about a viewing party for CBS Sports next week. I'm gonna totally shoot that down for Smashbox.
Yep.
Only because DD is doing that.
Oh,
So if you're interested in a watch party, and I don't know for sure what I'm doing next week, but I would take a look out for DD. I think that there are going to be some people in the studio that they're going to be watching it and doing a live stream while they watch it and interact with the community.
well, I'm going to run one as well.
I was going to run 2 of them, just a blank one and one. No, so I would hate to step on anyone's toes for that. If they had, I didn't think of it. I heard them saying they were doing it today on their podcast. That's all them, and they're going to have a better insight and stuff of that. So I think that would be, we would be best to bring our community if there's not any overlap. If you're not already a Disc Golf Answer Man fan or something like that, and you're listening to us, go check them out for their watch party, we'll call it. So that's where I stand on that. I'm not going to step on any toes.
I'm gonna stomp on their faces. All right, guys, we're going to call it a night.
violent.
It's been a lot of fun chit-chatting with everybody. Thank you to all of the people tuned in.
Wow.
It's great if you're here on Facebook. We also love when you're here on YouTube so that we can see all your comments that come in and hopefully answer questions that you guys have. And as Deanne said, we can run a watch party of the watch party.
Yeah, our fans watching us watch Bobby Brown and those guys watch.
Seems like a
CBS.
perfect idea. Yet again, huge shout out Tyler Brickley over at Disc Golf Comedy. Thanks for the not top 5 that he worked on along with Johnny V here. Want to thank our regular show guests and Ricky Wysocki and Katrina Allen. Looking forward to a week or 2 off from any major disc golf activity. You're going to see a lot of bonus coverage come from the Disc Golf Guys channel. I've got a little backlog of Discraft Great Lakes Open footage. I think I have rounds 2 and 3 that will be released. And then I got a ton of Ledgestone Insurance Open coverage that all needs to get edited. And that was thanks to Paul and Dustin that were out there. FPO coverage, MPO coverage. We got it all for you. We got a lot of bonus coverage, and that was solely supported by my Patreon viewers and Disc Baron. For Johnny, the Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, podcast 311 after show. I don't know what 305 came from. 311 after show. We'll see you next week
I'll edit that out.
when you step inside the Smashbox. Edit.